Giants every day. From McCovey Cove to the Oracle Park lights, Eric and Glenn keep the fire burning bright, fighting for the glory, no matter what it costs us, breaking down the moments from the wins to the losses. Giant Sports Talk, we're here for the ride. Eric and Glenn with the fan base pride, talking dreams, will they contend? But we'll back the Giants till the very end. Let's go, Giants! Yes! 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 Oh! Eric and Glenn breaking it down, all Giants all the time.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Giant Sports Talk Live here on this Tuesday evening, January 7th, year of our Lord, 2025. What is up, Glenn?
Hey there. How are you? Can you hear me? Am I back?
I hear you.
What was that song? Who wrote that?
song? I'll tell you who wrote that. This guy right here, Richard Cookerly. Also goes by Riff Monkey here for Suno AI. Go check out his stuff, guys. You won't be disappointed. He makes a lot of songs using AI. Check it out. Riff Monkey on Suno AI.
A Riff Monkey production. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's freaking
Good to
cool,
hear.
ain't it? It's freaking awesome, dude.
Well, I got out of the hospital. I'm feeling a little better. I'm back. I'm back, baby. We'll see how long I can hang in, but I am back. And boy, I was awfully sick. I sent you. Did you get the picture I sent?
I did.
I was in the hospital with the tubes up my nose, and I couldn't breathe, man. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, that's not good, man.
And then there was word on the street that people in the wrong building were making me chicken noodle soup. And
Yeah, Greg down below. I think Greg might be in the chat. He might be in there somewhere. He was talking about making chicken. I was like, I don't know where he's at, man.
Gonna nurse me back to health, man. Oh, it was a rough. Christmas was good. You had a good Christmas. We talked.
Christmas
a little
was
bit after
great.
that, but
New Year's was
it was
fantastic.
a rough New Year, man. Holy smoke!
The New Year's episode was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, I think I was. Remember, I said I wasn't sure if I would. I was like, oh, dude, I got stuff that Bernice is gonna kill me if I. And then New Year's Eve, it went downhill, man. And now I don't know if you can tell. It's still in my sinuses, but the meds have really helped. I was out of it for 2 days. 2 days, man. I didn't. If you'd walked in the room, I'd be like, it's like Alzheimer's. Who are you? I'm serious, man.
What's up, Ace?
I don't know if the picture I sent you, Bernice took it, did any justice. They put you in those. God, it's 2025, Eric, and they still can't make a pair of pajamas in the hospital that like you can't see your ass hanging out of them. Yeah, and then like the ugliest things that have two strings to try to hold my big fat body together. It's crazy.
Exactly,
anyway,
man. That's
what I missed.
What did you miss?
What did I miss? God.
Well,
thanks, Benji.
To be honest with you, baseball news-wise, not much. Except for today. Okay. You had the Verlander news. That's the biggest news that the Giants have had in quite a while. Today, of course, we're going to get a little bit into Luis Matos. He's doing some things down there in the Winter League, in the Venezuela Professional Baseball League, I think is what they call it. Nice. We also got to we're going to have a new guy that's going to be joining us here. Paul Robles. I was telling you a little bit about him. The scout.
Yeah, I missed that show. I missed quite a few shows. A few of them I got to hear, but not view. I was kind of dozing off. I was just, I had you on in one room. Bernice would put you on over the living room, and I was in bed for like a week. A couple of people reached out. PK returns. Babe rocks. They missed me. Thank you so much. I see we got some guys welcoming me back. Guys, good to be back. I didn't get to talk any Giants baseball. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if Eric had leapt off any tall buildings going insane or losing his mind. And then I get back to health today. And I find out Verlander is a giant. We'll talk about that, I am sure, at some point during the show.
Matter of fact, before we get into it, we got to talk about this. I don't know if you know what's going on there down there in Southern California, Glenn. I talked a little bit about it with the breaking news, but there is quite a fire happening down there in Pacific Palisades. Again, thoughts and prayers to all those who are out there. Man, it's not pretty. When those winds get whipping, Glenn, man, it makes for conditions that are not conducive to having any kind of safety, especially when the fires are going. It's like that with California. Anytime where you got a lot of wind and then you add fire to it, dude, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I just saw maybe 10 minutes of video coverage in the last half hour getting ready for the show. I was kind of scouring to see what I missed about Verlander, and they were showing clips where it was sped up, time motion. And they showed how it's so windy in Southern California.
I think they said
embers
65 miles an hour.
Fire, like they cannot contain this because the embers are just lighting fires all over the place.
That's the unfortunate that when the winds kick up, man, you can't. It's impossible to contain.
And I got good news, Eric. That is such a we wish everybody the best down there. That was beautiful homes, man.
Yeah,
and it's just whipping down that mountain for the video coverage I saw. But later on in the show, maybe Wilmer Flores Jr. will make an appearance.
Oh, yeah, I saw Wilmer already. We'll have to take a look at that.
He's sleeping right now beside me.
Exactly. And I know we got a few people down in Southern California. I know Anonymous is down there. Benji, Alex Renteria, he's down there. So, hey, guys, make sure you guys – I don't know if you're in that area, but just be careful over there, guys. I don't know. I don't know if it's specifically in that area where you guys live, but again,
one of the benefits though, from what I saw on the news this afternoon or late, it's evening here now, but did you see the size of the water bomber planes? They call them scoopers.
Oh, that's no
They
joke,
said if
man.
there's any benefit to trying to fight this thing, they're right on the ocean. So they're just loading up, dumping, and they're trying to contain it, man. But those embers are just lighting things ablaze. Terrible.
Oh, you're in the South Bay, Alex. Right on. Cool. Well, hopefully, if you have any family, then hopefully your family is doing well down there.
Guys, while he's asleep, all right, I'm going to take you on emotion. Here's Wilmer Flores Jr. You see Wilmer?
My gosh.
I think he's sleeping.
Wow, he is absolutely sleeping.
Wilmer, yeah, he's asleep, so I'll just leave him. Otherwise,
look at that.
He'll be on the keyboard, and he'll be fighting for airtime tonight. There you go. Wilmer Flores Jr. has joined the Giant Sports Talk Live clan.
Yep. There you go, man.
He's a beauty too. I had a cat for a long time, and he passed away back in around 19 or 8, maybe 19. And I said, I'll never have a cat again. But my daughter been after a cat. He's only how old's Wilmer?
He's got to be only a few months old.
Yeah, he's about a month.
Yeah, that's what I say. Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah, gets his shots in a couple of weeks, and he'll be good to go.
Nice.
I'm not too fond of him jumping into bed with me, though. You got to play. You got to be a rag doll. You just got to play dead for a little while. He gets tired of trying to screw with you, and he just takes off.
Right on.
He's like, Glenn, you're my biggest fan. I'm like, what are you doing? You're just ignoring me. But he's a good guy, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of that. He's just a kitten. He's a little rambunctious. He's a little devil right now, but he likes to. This is the weird thing, guys. Is this Eric? You're into cats.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be nocturnal, man. He likes to sleep around the house all day,
and then get
any minute now,
at night.
He's going to start, and he'll be up till 8 tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yep. Demon D, what is up, sir? How are you doing,
hey guys?
Real quick, because I want to hear your take about Verlander, but I just want to lay it down what we got going on tonight. Main title today is Luis Matos on the verge of a breakout season. Guys, he earned the honors of Rookie of the Year down in the Venezuela Professional Baseball League. Good to see. Batted 300. I think he hit 10 home runs, something like that. But again, he's showing some promise. We're going to get into that. And we're going to have Paul Robles. He's going to join us. As a matter of fact, Paul, if you're out there, do me a favor. Text me your email address so I can send you the link so you can get right in. See if you're ready to go. Right on.
Easy, Mark. Easy. I'm going to hear it all now. Mark Graves is in the chat. He said, we won't bring it up, but he says, can your cat run to first and actually?
Oh, dude. I like it.
That's
good. Come on. That was good.
See what happens.
Good. Right on. All right. So
okay.
Earlier today, Verlander.
The title of the show is what, though, Eric?
Is Luis Matos on the
Verge.
We're
going to talk about that. Can we talk right off the get-go? I think that the order of the day now would be Verlander.
Yeah, you didn't get a chance to come on, so I came on for about an hour and 15 minutes. Go for it, man. Tell me what you think, and I'm gonna send the link.
Dude, I was trying to come up with some kind of a logical explanation about this. All right. First of all, there may be some who think this is a great signing. I don't think signing a 42-year-old pitcher to a 1-year, $15 million deal is kind of beneficial to anybody, but the pitcher himself. And maybe a few fans are going to be requesting autographs at the games from his wife, who's going to be more of a public figure in Oracle than he will be. Second of all, I've heard a few people chime out on the World Wide Web, as we know it, Eric, early on. Now, this only happened a little while ago, so we're still getting, the take on this. But people are saying, yeah, maybe he's into mentor. We have a young, inexperienced pitching staff for the most part. Those up-and-comers, maybe he's there to mentor. To that, I say, sign a better pitching coach. God, we gotta work on putting good players, great players on the field, not mentors in the dugout, dude, that pitch every 5th or 6th day. Then they're talking about a 6-man rotation. Maybe Roki Sasaki, now he can go into a 6-man rotation. If you think, maybe I'm wrong, Eric, these are only my takes.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they're right. But my take is, I'm back, baby, Angry Glenn.
Oh, man.
I don't think Roki Sasaki is in Japan this afternoon, jumping for joy, doing cartwheels, saying, oh, my God, the Giants got Verlander. I'm thinking about it now. I can't see that either, Eric. I think it's the percentage of us getting Roki, slim to none. Padres, slim to none, if I have heard through the grapevine everything going on down there. I think it's pretty much 100% deal. He's either going to the Dodgers. I've heard the Yankees, but that's, again, everything is flying against. People come up with, he could go to the Yankees. But all we've heard, even from his agent, is West Coast type of deal would be good for him.
And we're kind of diverting a little bit here. There's Paul. We'll bring him in here in a little bit when he's ready to roll. Did you see the news that's going on in San Diego?
Yeah, I saw that today. I caught half of the show you did last night, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I caught that on the replay right here on Giant Sports Talk Live, the replay on YouTube. Boy, that family screw up everything, don't they?
Oh, I know, dude. It's a shame.
Gosh.
It's a shame.
Is it his wife who wants – well, I mean, it's his wife.
I don't know. Honestly, Glenn, look, I know there's been lawsuits filed. There's been allegations. Again, none of this has been heard by a judge yet. These are just, the filings. Yeah, there's a bunch of insinuations of racist marks and, trying to take over the club when it was supposed to be this person or that. All I know is right now, San Diego is a mess. And until that stuff gets rectified, the San Diego's Padres are going to be in a mess until it's all done. It's a shame. I feel bad for the fans.
Do they lean toward a fire sale? Do you think there could be a blow up all of a sudden, Eric?
That's a possibility. Is it going to happen in this? Look, is it going to happen in this offseason? Probably not.
Crossfire?
Probably not. But that's very well a possible. Look, if they wind up having to sell the team or whatever, or there's something weird going on, look, there's an absolute possibility.
Well, I want to tell my family who are watching this. Well, they don't watch my show. But if my family were out there watching, Eric, all that great, my Mickey Mantle rookie and all those great cards I've got going back to the 1800s. When I die, Bernice gets them. Don't come. I won't even be in the ground, Eric, and my family will be lurking around with a U-Haul behind the car, ready to snag what they can get. I just want it to be on the record. You ain't getting jack nothing. Bernice is getting my stuff. Deal with her. Although she might have a fire sale before the funeral. Hey, we got a special guest coming in my absence with my terrible illness. I am back tonight. And Eric, you have ushered in a guest.
Dude, this guy is awesome. Again,
wait to meet him.
Guys, for those of you who weren't joined us a few days ago, there's a guy out there. He was going by baseball. His name is Paul Robles, former MLB scout. He's going to break down some stuff that we're going to talk about Luis Matos and
down there.
What's important about Luis Matos is that he's still being developed. And this is something that he knows something about drafting and developing. So without further ado, let's bring him in. There is Paul. What's up, man? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Testing.
There you go.
There he is.
There you go.
We did it.
Couldn't wait to meet the guy, and you just anticipation killing me. Hey, buddy, good to meet you. I heard you had a great show, and you're going to bring some insight on our right field tonight, I hear.
We're going to try. Yeah, great to meet you, Glenn. Everyone in the chat, it's been an honor. Thanks for having me. I cleaned up a little bit from last time. I had a hat backwards, kind of got thrown in the chat.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man. Hey, look, man, I just got a regular shirt on, man. I just come here and just talk.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who are in the chat, like myself, who haven't got an introduction, maybe we could do a little rehash, a little introduction on what Paul brings to our show now, and a little bit about his background. Eric, we got some new viewers each and every night that the show is growing.
Go for it, Paul.
Yeah. So I used to scout for the Tampa Bay Rays and the Florida Marlins. I started off as a bird dog, and then became the part-time area scout. And this was back in, it looks like 2003 to 2012. And it was a good run. I had a baseball business called RBI Baseball at the same time. So I just basically was thrown into this. And like I said on Sunday, it's been a wild ride. When I start thinking about my journey in scouting, scouting's really not talked about in baseball. And I know we always talk about it from a fan standpoint. We got to get this player. We got to get player development. Why this? Why that? And the more I think about it, I just go back to my experience. And I was very blessed to have really good mentors to kind of bring me up as a young scout. I started the journey at 18. And I literally didn't know anything about what I was walking into. It's a year-to-year contract. It's a cutthroat business. You're only as good as your last guy you drafted or turned in. You have to learn a lot of little things along the way. And more than anything, you have to be convicted, and you have to learn how to trust your eyes. And you can't let people sway you. Even if you're next to a guy that played in the big leagues, even a Hall of Famer that might be scouting next to you, you can't be intimidated by him. Even if I saw Barry Bonds, let's say, scouting next to me, and I'm scouting for the Rays, my mentality is, we're going to out-scout Barry Bonds. Now, that's funny to say that, but you got to have that mindset and that competitive nature about you, because at the end of the day, when you become a scout, they're not paying for the 5 tools that you would be evaluating. They're actually paying for your eyes and your wisdom and what you bring to the table. So I think this is a great forum because we can kind of get a different perspective. I wrote a lot of notes, and I just want to kind of take you into like a fuel or a broad overview so that we can kind of glance at educating the viewers a little bit more. Maybe by the time we're done with all the content today, maybe we'll have a different perspective on the game, and maybe it'll open up some conversations about maybe what people see in other prospects, and kind of just have these open forums, because it doesn't mean that I know everything about baseball.
Oh, this is great, though. I can sense this is going to be great. But before Eric can pretty much handle this, you guys are going to have some great content. I'm going to sit back and indulge in the knowledge, if you will. But before Eric starts things off, then my question would be, have you just got a love of the? I see you got. Is that a Giants behind you? What is the Giants? What is the Giants angle here? Oh, the Gigantes. John Miller. What's the fascination with the Giants? What's the background with the Giants? Now, you mentioned the Southern East Coast, your background with the scouting. What's with the Giants?
Yeah, so good question. I actually grew up with the Giants. I'm a huge Giants fan. And when I was a kid, my dad took me to Candlestick Park.
There you go. Right there. Stop real quick. That's where it begins. Usually it begins with the father taking the son to their first professional game, and either they either get the bug or not so much. There you go.
Yeah, and so my thing is, I was introduced as a kid. Will Clark was my favorite baseball player. The reason why I love that guy is not only can he hit the ball, but just the mentality that he wanted to win, the passion. He was a grinder. Like, that was exactly how I used to play sports and baseball as well. Because I was always a small kid on the team, but I was always a team captain. And the only reason why I was a team captain is because I kind of had that fiery mentality, that underdog mentality. And I would tell my 6'4" guys, get off your lazy butt. Let's go. I wish I had your body. I'd be in the big leagues right now.
Nice.
But Candy Maldonado, Jeff Kent, Kevin Mitchell, even our third base coach, what's his name? I can't think right now. Matt Williams. I mean, those guys were legends, absolutely legends. Yeah. So, I mean, that's where it all started. And then obviously when I grew up, I played baseball. I played football. I wrestled. I played soccer. But my passion has always been baseball.
Beautiful.
And
so you grew up in the Bay Area?
No, I'm actually from Roseville, the Sacramento area.
And we won't hold that against you. That's good, though.
Right. But I'll go to like 6 or 7 games a year. And I got my girlfriend involved now. Now she knows more than baseball than me. It seems like, because I'm talking to Giants now. But no, it's kind of fun because when I was working as a scout, you kind of get involved in the business aspect of the game. You forget what it's like to be a fan. And so it took me about 10 years to kind of cleanse my soul and come back as a fan and kind of look at the game differently. And now I'm just a more open mind. I look at the game a little bit different because like I said, I had some really interesting stories, really interesting experiences. And I don't even know how I made it this far in baseball, but it was pretty cool. So I'm just here to share some cool stories, and more than anything, we can have open forum talks and discussions. And I'm not trying to come across like I know everything. I know in baseball, there's a lot of ego. A lot of guys know everything. I've coached against, I don't want to mention names, but no, I don't want to say it. The big Dodger names. I've coached with some of the big Dodger names in SoCal. I used to run with the Mark Cressy School of Baseball. That's where I got my first opportunity in coaching. I was 18 years old. Mark Cressy was the bullpen coach with Tommy Lasorda for 12 plus years. And Cressy had a summer camp in 5 locations. And I was the youngest coach that he hired. And it took me, I don't know, 10 different no's before he finally said, get your butt down here. Let's see what you're about. And he wouldn't hire anyone but a D1 coach or an ex-pro player. And I just told Mark, I said, hey, man, I love the game. I want to learn, whatever you want me to do, I'm here for you. And he's like, all right, I don't know about this punk kid, but I kind of like him. So it took me like 2 to 3 years of him kind of watching me work with the kids. And I became his hitting coach in 3 years and his director. And that was kind of an accomplishment. And then I took what I learned with Mark, and then I made my own style, my own flavor in Northern California with my own baseball camps. So we started off with baseball camps, and then we grew, and then we had an indoor facility. We had a little one in the backyard. Then we had a bigger one in a gym. And then we went huge in Loomis right after that. So we just quadrupled in size, and I did that for 10 years. And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride. While I was doing that, I was scouting at the same time.
Wow.
Dude, well, I know I'll tell you what. Get into this. Wait, this is new to me. And again, we got all night, Paul. I don't know how much time you got. This is pretty interesting to me. Eric's got a little bit of a lay of the land. Without getting into, we don't have to go all night with my questions because I know a lot of the people in the chat have heard your background. But so you get you have that interest in baseball like we do.
Yep.
How'd you become a pro scout? How'd you become a major league scout? How did that all transpire? How does a guy from Sacramento be a pro scout on the East Coast, man? And I know you might have talked about this. Give me the lay of the land on that one because
okay,
dude,
yeah. We went over this. We went over this on Sunday, but I'll give you guys a skinny version. So I was starting my coaching career as a young man. I was 18 years old. And the first guy who hired me was my varsity coach at Roseville High School, Hal Steinbach. And Hal played some pro ball. And so I was Hal's assistant coach for a year. And I think we went to playoffs, or we were 1 game short of playoffs. anyways, Hal ends up getting fired from Roseville, and they bring in a new regime. Well, me and the regime, we didn't want to work together, whatever. It's all political, and you get into baseball. So my old coach, who used to coach at Roseville, he went to Granite Bay High School, Coach Pat Esposito. And Pat said, hey, I got an opening for my freshman squad. And I said, okay, Pat, I love you, but I don't want freshmen. I don't want to work with freshmen, man. This is crazy. But I said, all right, I'll make a deal with you, Pat. And I'm 18, 19 years old. I said, if we have a winning year, if we win the league in our little division, I want the JV team next year. I want to move up with these guys. He's like, done. So I get these kids, and these kids they're nice kids, hardworking kids, but they had no clue on what work ethic was because, no offense, they're from Granite Bay.
Yeah. If you don't know Granite Bay, hey, Glenn.
Yeah.
Granite Bay.
I used to tell them, and I love these kids. Don't get me wrong. They're nice kids. I said, hey, I'm going to run whatever coddleness, whatever richness you have, I'm going to run it out of you because I'm going to make you tough, hard-nosed ball players. Good. They bought in. The parents bought in. We went on a winning streak. I think we were 25 at wins, 1 loss that 1 year. I get bumped up to JV. And once again, we had another winning streak, 25-1. We might have lost 2, maybe 3, I forget. Politics ran me out of there because parents were yip-yapping. Robles needs to be the head varsity coach. And I'm like, I don't want the varsity coach. I didn't come in to take anyone's job. I'm just doing my job. So politics kind of ran me out. Like I was the winningest coach at the lower levels. Player development, right? I'm in the minor leagues. And the politics ran me out of there. So I was like, oh, man, that sucked. That's when I started to develop some thick skin, right? When I say thick skin, this game will kick your butt up and down. Even when you think you're on top, it'll still kick your butt.
Interesting.
And so while I'm going through that process, I'm like, man, I need to open up my RBI business. I want to help kids out. I want to coach kids. I want to do this. I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even know how to run anything. I don't have a business degree. I'm just literally trying to figure this out. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking online and I'm contacting this Mark Cressy guy. And I'm like, hey, man, I want to work. He's like, what's your resume? I've done 2 years or 3 years at high school. Not good enough. I'm like, I don't care. I'll work hard. I'll show you. Click, click, click. Finally, I just kept calling. And one day he's like, all right, man, I'll meet you down there. Take a train. We'll pay for it. And the rest is
perseverance, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I was just going to say. Perseverance, man.
But I got to take a step back to the Tampa Bay story. But I'm going to take a step forward since I'm there. So the first night I get to Newport, Jeff, he was the director. That's Mark's partner. Jeff Prescott was his name. Hopefully the guy's still alive. I love Jeff. He goes, you're going to meet with Mr. Cressy for dinner. He's like, just make sure you clean up, whatever. I go, where are you taking me? He goes, we're taking you to Hooters. Perfect. Let's go. So I get to Hooters and Mark Cressy gets there. He's like, you see this gentleman right here? Make sure there's a beer in his hand at all times, and he has unlimited buffalo wings. We were talking baseball for 5 hours about all his crazy stories, and it was amazing. Wow. It was the coolest thing ever, right? And then that's how we started our relationship. Going back to Granite Bay, when I was the freshman and JV coach, Marty Demerit, and you can look him up, Glenn. He used to be the pitching coach for the Chicago Cubs during Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood's tenure. They were like the big names back in the day. I think.
Oh, he worked under Dusty then.
Was Dusty there at that time? He might have been. I don't know if Dusty
maybe
was
before,
there.
Maybe prior,
okay.
maybe.
Okay, yeah. But if you know Marty Demerit is one of the best pitching coaches I've ever met in my life. But Marty Demerit is not politically correct. He will say what's on his mind, if you know what I mean. And his mouth got him in trouble, and that's why they had to send him down to the minor leagues because they can't put him in front of the press. But when Marty Demerit is with your organization, they send him all the best prospects because he develops all the best prospects for pitching.
So let me guess, Jim Riggleman did all the interviews.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something to take away from tonight. If we're going to build a Giants organization, don't put your best pitching coaches in the big leagues. Put your best ones in the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm. This is like chapter 1 of a new book. A good read.
It is, right? It's freaking awesome. I love it.
You can just talk about your but Eric, take it away. I know you got some great questions coming up, and a lot of Giants to talk about it. Unless you want to add something.
So
No,
Marty and I hooked up because his daughter was on the Granite Bay softball team, and he would glance over when he'd come watch his daughter play softball and look at our team. And for whatever reason, he liked how I was doing things, working hard. He's got that bulldog mentality, and I did too. So he comes up to me out of nowhere and gives me his Tampa Bay Devil Rays. They were the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. He goes, "My name is Marty Demerit," says Major League Baseball pitching coach. "I like you. I don't know who you are, but I want you to be a scout. Call me. We'll have a couple beers, and we'll go from there." And I went, "What the hell?"
It just fell right in your lap.
It fell right in my lap. So I call the guy. We break bread. We're drinking. Okay. Don't ever try to drink Marty Demerit under the table. He will laugh at you. My competitive nature. Oh, I'm going to outdrink this guy. I got this. I'm up to like beer number 8 and I'm sucking wind, and he's laughing. He's like, "Don't do it, dude. Come on, Robles. Just give up." Finally, I tapped out, and he's like, "All right, let's get down to business." And I was
let's get down to business.
Yeah, because he wanted to make sure I was one of the boys, right? He's kind of breaking me in. And the cool thing about Marty's place is when you walk into his hallway, he's got wooden baseball bats hung up on both sides, signed by like Barry Bonds, any big leaguer, Chipper Jones, you could name. Every big leaguer signed these bats. Baseballs, pictures of all kinds of major. Sammy Sosa he was coaching with. I mean, this guy's like a dude. And I'm like in baseball heaven and just sipping beers. And he's like, "Hey, you want me to call Barry Bonds right now?" I'm like, "You don't have Barry's number." He's like, "Yes, I do." He opens up his briefcase. He has all these numbers chopped up in little pieces of paper.
What?
He's calling Barry Bonds at like 3 a.m. Like, what the hell's going on?
No, he did not.
I don't know if it was really Barry, but
Gotcha.
it was a good story. But yeah, this guy, he was a guy. And so he just said, "Hey, man, we're going to give you a shot. You're going to start off as a bird dog. Fred Repke is going to be your boss. And then you'll report to Freddie and then go from there." Well,
real quick, what's a bird dog? People may not know what that means.
Bird dog, and it's in my notes here. They're called, on their card, it'll say associate scout. So they're just an associate. Now, I'll go through this, but the area scouts, let me go above them. The regional scouts work regions, right? So like, let's say my guy, Freddie, he had all of California. So you got SoCal and NorCal. He had Nevada. He had Fresno, and he might have had another state, maybe Utah, somewhere in there. And that's his territory. He's the regional guy. Okay. And the scouts in those territories, I was in NorCal, right? So I worked under an area scout named Carlos Delgado, not the Carlos Delgado, but there is a Carlos Delgado. He actually lives in San Francisco. He's a good friend of mine. He developed me really well too as a scout. Anyways, him and I ran every single college, every single high school, every single junior college from Fresno all the way to Reno. We had to cover that whole territory.
Woo.
Yeah, huge, right?
So basically, you're like a third-party scout for the area scouts.
Yeah, only for your area. Only for your area.
So you got the regional, the area.
Yep.
And then you got your bird dogs that work for the areas.
Now, as I went through my tenure after 2 years, because I had to prove myself, they were like, "Dude, we got to pay this guy something because I'm out there working hard on my own." They don't pay you anything. But I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the experience. And I already had my RBI Baseball Academy up and running. Okay. Plus, my kids were like, "Oh, he's a scout. Oh, that's kind of cool." But that was besides the purpose. But you can become a part-time scout. They don't hire a lot of part-time scouts. But what they do for part-time scouts is they pay all your expenses on the road. Okay. And there are some other perks that they did for me. For example, they delivered a pallet of Major League Baseballs to my house worth about $8,000. Yeah, because they knew I had an academy, and they're like, "Dude, you work so hard for us."
That's freaking awesome.
Right. And this the cool thing about being a bird dog and a part-time. You get a scouting card you get into any Major League Baseball stadium across the country. You can get 2 tickets right behind home plate.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh,
Holy
come
cow!
on,
So
dude.
you
Just-
did get paid quite well.
Yeah, so I'm like, dude, that's all I need. I'm cool. I
Wow.
can take a friend, take
I
a
could
girl.
do this.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
So I visited.
You know what else? You know what else, Paul? This really, and we talking different. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but for young guys out there, maybe in the chat, and maybe they've played, maybe their career's over.
Yeah,
Dude, you didn't need the instant gratification. So many people come out of a university or a college or well-educated. They go, I want to be president of the company. You literally worked for nothing to build the resume. I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. He came from,
and it turned
Like
into
it.
a 9.5 year run. And I was gonna get an area job, but I was just too busy with RBI. And I knew I arrived because it takes 5 years to define who you are as a scout. You're either good or you're not. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through the draft process and you're picking your players, you're putting them on your board, and you're talking to your area guy, and you're this, you're that. Even if another team picks up one of your players, you're pissed off because you might have drove to that guy's games, I don't know, several times and spent all this money, and you're fighting for him. You wanted him, you believed in him, and your scouting director doesn't pull a trigger, and you're pissed off for about 4 months, right? But it doesn't mean you can't learn about it because you're still going to track that kid.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see if he does everything you said he was going to do.
Right. So it validates your assumptions or evaluation of the kid. Speaking of which, Glenn, I don't know if you know this. Guess who Paul wanted the Tampa Bay Rays to draft? Let's just say right now.
Ooh.
Let's just say he's a captain somewhere. There's not many captains.
It got to be Judge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Judge, I was going to throw a belt. But when you said now, see, he's
there was when I was scouting Judge, there was a lot of scouts that were not high on him. They were high on him, but they had him in the second or third round. And me and the Yankees guy, obviously the Yankees really liked him. But if you look at his draft status, he was a supplement pick, which means he was a second pick in the first round draft in the Yankees. So he wasn't even the first pick. He was a second pick of their first pick.
First round. Gotcha.
Of the first round. Yeah. So, I mean, technically he would have been a high first round, maybe a low second round. But in my mind, dude, that guy's a first pick overall because the upside, and he was raw. He was a project a little bit, but I mean, you could see the 5 tools were there. The work ethic was there. The mental everything was there. And I even predicted he'd hit 60 home runs, 50 to 60, but obviously at 63 that 1 year. But I think with him, he just needed time. He needed 5 years to mature. He needed to go through a real swing, a major league swing, and develop it. Now his swing is a little bit different. He does a little bit more uphill, but he actually swings through the ball when he finishes. He doesn't really have a high finish. So even though he tries to lift it a little bit, he still levels it out as he gets through the ball, which, he's going to keep the bat head in the zone a lot longer, which is going to help him create that power, create that whip at the end. But I mean, the kid, when I met him, literally, like, you look up like this, he's that tall.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's huge. He's a monster. He's a tight end in the NFL. But the way another
but that's just an example of you knew that this guy had something, even though the Tampa Bay Rays didn't sign him.
Yeah,
you were correct in your assumptions that this guy was going to be able to achieve some big things, even though it's with another club.
Right, but I will say this: to get that level of confidence, I was 8-9 years already into the game, right? So I already kind of knew myself by then. I already knew what I was about. I already knew how other scouts perceived me, even scouting directors. When the Tampa Ray guys showed up to a game, we kind of had the reputation at that time. Holy shit, there's somebody good here. We better keep our eyes on the right guy because they're looking at somebody. And that's when you're gaining the respect because they're seeing the guys that you're trying to draft or the guys that you've already drafted and signed. And so that's the fun part of the game is like there's this internal competition and they either respect you or they don't, but you got to earn it.
Gotcha.
Paul, not to be negative and put you on the spot. Now you told us Judge, for example, you liked what you saw.
Yeah.
And you said, when they don't, the team you're working for, they go in a different direction. You said, 4-month window, a little aggravation, so to speak. Without being negative, put you on the spot. Was there ever a player that you looked at, just the opposite? You go, this guy's not making AAA, and then went on to start it. Was there anybody like that?
Yeah, there's a couple, especially when I first started out. I wasn't really high on Dustin Pedroia. I turned him in, but I didn't think he was going to be what I thought he was going to be.
Really?
But he obviously was a better guy than I thought. And that was a humbling experience because I was going into it going, the guy's like my height, 5'8", whatever, 5'9". Most guys don't make it that are that short. So I already put a black ball on him, even though I knew he was good. Some guys that look like him just end up being really good, outstanding college baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't go to the limits that he went to. Like he took it to another level. So
Gotcha.
That was one, and I got more, but I mean, that was a good one because I could have, if I would have known better, or if I would have been 5 years in the game, I would have definitely took him out of high school and really tried hard to get him out of high school. But
you're working for guys who want to build a team away, around certain size, speed, et cetera, et cetera. When you these are all, I don't know. And I don't want to step on toes there because you may have, you may have covered.
No. Good. It's good.
I find this is fascinating.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I know.
So when you're scouting and you show up at a ballpark, small little ballpark, and they built their team. And when I say built a little team, do you ever go to a ball game and go, geez Louise, this is a band of misfits. This is going to be a 28-0 loss. And yet what you saw on the field didn't translate into, holy crap, what they really were?
Yeah, and that's a good point, Glenn. That's like scouting 101. When you scout, you don't ever look at the scoreboard. You're never a fan anymore. You're looking. So what we do, and this is what they taught me, and it took me a couple of years to understand. When we go to the yard, we're not there to scout good baseball players. We are there to scout only big leaguers. If we feel they're going to be a big leaguer and make an impact on that team, that's the only person you're following. So
Gotcha.
if that team's getting their butts kicked and, I don't know, a big power hitting first baseman's up there that you really like, that you think's got the potential, but obviously they all got flaws in the amateur level or collegiate level. Hey, if you're convicted and you did your homework and you understand what you're doing and you're going all in, you better be convicted because you have to convince your boss. He's got to like him. Then he's got to convince the regional guy. He's got to like him. He's got to convince the national cross-checker. And he's also got to convince the scouting director because the scouting director is the guy who pulls the trigger on draft day.
So you're kind of like a salesman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of, but not really because you can't oversell it, but it's got to sell itself, but you got to show them you're convicted.
Yeah, you got to show if you're going to play with the big boys,
yeah,
act like a big boy, man. You got to say this is the guy, right? So
go ahead.
Now, before we get right into, because now let's talk about Luis Matos. But real quick, before we get into that, how hard was it for you? Because you're a fan of the game, and you even said you got to go as a scout. You got to go there and not be a fan of the game. Yeah. How hard was that transition? Because obviously, did you ever catch yourself enjoying the game rather than doing your job? It had to have been difficult because you got a certain job to do.
It was hard.
Does it take away a little bit of the joy of the game to a certain extent?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I was actually not as passionate about baseball when I was a scout because it was a job, and it was not only a job. It was like, I didn't realize this going in, but holy crap, it felt like there was a gun held to your head because you're one F up away from losing your credibility. And that credibility you could have like spent 5 to 10 years getting your credibility to the highest level. One bad decision, meaning if I call my guy, let's say I'm at a game in Fresno and he's over there in Reno. I said, hey, I got a guy. And I'll tell him I'm excited. He can hear it in my voice. Well, he knows me. He knows if I say I got a guy, he's going to be there. So if I say show up, plays on Wednesday, This is where he's going to be, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Now, if he's not what I think he is and he's just wasting my guy's time, I'm done.
You're done.
He's not going to want to talk to me ever again because he could have gone to go see another guy that's going to help us get the right guy that we want in the draft. And I just wasted time, money, everything. And it's so cutthroat. So you really got to make sure you're spot on with your conviction and you know exactly what you're looking at. And to get to that level, it's a 5-6 year process if you even make it that far.
Wow. Gosh. All right. Hey, let's get into Luis Matos. The reason why I want to talk about him today, there's some news that came out actually yesterday. He earned Rookie of the Year there in the Venezuela professional. I don't know. Did you ever go down to Venezuela to watch games by chance?
I totally want to. It's funny because Marty Demerit, my boy, who discovered me when I was this little guy out of Granite Bay High School, he goes there every winter league, and he's one of the pitching coaches for one of the teams out there. He wanted me to go out there 1 year, and I was a little bit worried because of all the violence that happens over there, and
yes, it's
people
not
get mugged and killed, and who knows, you don't come back the same. But I mean, Marty, he had his little team and he had security, but I mean, Marty was a little out there. But I wish I would have went, but he's shown me actually clips of how some of the games go. Those fans are crazy.
They're rabid.
They're like soccer fans in Brazil.
Yeah.
Like they will start, if you screw up, they will pick a fight with you and they will wait for you to go to your car. And you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You gotta be on your A game. And so Marty, he's such a good pitching coach, and they see him working hard for the players, and they see his player development over the season and how much better the pitchers get. So they all call him the Viking because he looks like a Viking. And they actually like chant his name during the game, and they're high-fiving him, drinking for him, and he's a little celebrity out there. So
that's funny. So let's talk about this. So Luis Matos here knows, I mean, that's pretty significant. You're earning an award. The competition, right? Isn't it kind of, that's where a lot of teams will send their either their AA guys, AAA guys, maybe even fringe MLB guys just to get some more work. What do you make of what Luis Matos is doing? Again, he's already had his cup of coffee with the organization, more so in 23 than last year. What do you make of the kid, Luis Matos?
I think it's a step up. I think, we talked about this on Sunday. The one thing I wanted to see with him is his approach. The batting average tells me a story. That tells me that he's getting to be having more of a consistent approach.
Okay.
So what I mean approach, like my approach might not work for him, but his approach might work for him. But whatever he decides to do, he's got to stay with it. He's got to trust it. Meaning, if I've got an 0-0 count, 0-1, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, whatever, or 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, foul ball. I don't care what count it is. I want that same exact approach. I need you to trust it, because if you can do that, you're going to start showing me some consistency with your at-bats. But a lot of guys, when they're young, they'll deal with failure and they start distrusting their approach, or they'll forget about their approach because they don't understand the game, or maybe the coaching's not there, or maybe the coaches are telling them the wrong things. Who knows? But you have to know, like, that is huge in baseball. You have to stay consistent with your approach. And then we talked about what do we do with guys on base, and it's similar, but like if I got a guy on third with no outs, what am I trying to do? Drive the ball in the outfield, right? To get the sac fly.
Correct.
Okay. I'm not trying to roll one over to get a double play and then we're screwed like we always see the Giants do. So your approach might change a little bit. So now instead of trying to look for a ball down, let's look for a ball up in the zone. Because if we can get a ball up in the zone that we can drive out of the infield to the outfield, we've done our job. Mm-hmm. And I was watching Will Clark the other day, and he was saying what he used to do when a guy threw hard, let's say 95 or whatever, 99, he didn't want to touch that. So he would just sit on change up, curveball, slider, whatever their secondary pitch was. He said he would rather hit an 85, 88 mile per hour off speed pitch and sit on it than sit on that 99 plus or 95 plus fastball. Now, I've never done that in my career, but it worked for him and he was very successful.
Right.
So once again, that's a whole nother level of approach. And whatever they buy into is what they buy into. And it's just stick with it is all I'm saying.
Here's a question. I'm going to ask you about this. You're talking about approach. And I know that that's something that's talked about a lot. Is approach different than adjusting? What I'm trying to say is the approach your foundation, and then adjustment is adjusting within that approach? In other words, because you know how they say the league will adjust to you.
Yeah.
Does that mean you got to change your entire approach? You know what I'm saying? Or are you you're keeping the approach, but you're making the adjustments? How does it? You see what I'm saying?
Question. So when you're adjusting on the fly, sometimes you can make a mechanical adjustment. So like, let's say I'm late to the ball. I'm fouling balls off. That's telling me I'm late. A lot of times I'm getting my foot down too late. I got to make that adjustment, get my foot down a little early. Maybe I don't use a huge leg kick. Maybe I lower my leg kick a little bit so I get my foot down early. Or maybe I'm getting out in front. I can feel my weight leaking forward. Guess what? I need to stay back a little bit longer.
Okay.
So what I used to tell my hitters is, if you start getting out of rhythm, there's two things you can do. That's a simple adjustment. You can get your foot down a little sooner to get rid of all that crap. Or when you stride and you land on your landing foot, just act like you're stepping on an egg, like it's nice and quiet, nice and soft. And what that does, it keeps your weight back and you're not leaning forward. If you lean forward, that's okay. Don't panic. Just make sure your hands stay back. And you can still use your hands to get a base hit the other way or even up the middle. But you have to trust your hands, that your hands can still get to the barrel will follow your hands, but the barrel will get to the ball as long as you learn how to develop that trust. But that's next level stuff. But the good hitters can pull that off.
Now we're going to do Luis. Well, let's stick with Luis Matos because I want to stay on our subject here. What did you see with Luis Matos? Because he had a little bit of success in 23. He batted 250 his first year. He was young. I think he was only 21. I mean, what do you see? What do you think needs to happen for him to succeed at the major league level? Let's go with that.
So, okay, let's go back to scouting and then I'll answer that question. So I think I showed you that video today and we can pull it up later.
Oh, yeah. Here, let me bring it up. Yeah.
But yeah, let's pull him up when he was a kid. And we could all kind of look at him from a lens of, we just saw this kid at 18. He's Luis Matos. He's raw. He's got some talent, and we're projecting him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But while you're pulling that up, yep, perfect. So this is Luis Matos when he was 18 years old, or even 17, probably.
Well, let's get to batting. How about that?
Yeah, let's get to batting.
Here we go.
So his swing's a little long. His front arm bars out a little bit, but I love his balance and I love his finish and I love how flat that swing is. Keep going.
Hold on. Let me do this. I'm going to reduce the speed a little bit.
Okay. Perfect. Look at that swing. See how level it is?
Yes. Matter of fact,
see how he extends his arms through the zone? That tells me he's got some power. He's got the pop in his bat. Plus, I like how his head is nice and quiet.
You talked about that.
Yep. His head's down. He doesn't move his head a lot. But look at his front arm, his left arm. Okay, watch it bar out a little bit. Just watch.
What do you think about his front foot? Is that do you like seeing that where they kind of go on their tiptoe?
High leg kick. That's fine. Like I said, Posey can pull it up, but not a lot of guys can. But he's doing it, and his head stays quiet, so it works. Look at that front arm right there. Bam. Guess what? I'm a pitcher. I'm pounding that guy inside all day long. I'm going to make his life miserable. Okay.
Let me run it.
Bryce Eldridge, he doesn't bar that arm out. He barely moves that front arm a little bit. And that's why he has a shorter swing, which means he's going to barrel more balls.
Gotcha. Okay. There's some more swings in here.
So for me, I like the kid, but that lost him, I don't know, a few $100,000 because I'm not going to pick him as high in the draft as I wanted to.
Wow.
Okay. Because what I'm saying is player development's got to fix that up. And we don't know if that kid can make the adjustment.
See, a comment like that, this is stuff that, I mean, the average fan, Eric, we don't look at the game this way. To say, oh my God, a swing like that costs him.
Now, I'm not sure. Does he still have that big leg kick? Honestly,
I think he's made some adjustments. So we could pull up a swing like from last year even. I don't think he does that as much. But
And look
like
how
I said,
skinny he is too.
look, you see what I'm saying? They're young, they're prospects, right? We're
Yep.
projecting 5 years out.
Yep.
But there's something there. He's definitely got something there. Just based on his body frame, I'm going to project that he hits
Must have
10
been a
to
good
20
hit.
home runs a year. Yeah. I like the sound too.
What's
It's got
the
a nice
catcher?
sound.
Well, I like the catcher just
Yeah.
down.
So he's a little late on that ball. Because you can see the ball go on the ground to second base.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So his foot didn't get down in time. So he's got to get his foot down a little bit sooner. That was better. But that ball was up, which means that ball needs to be crushed. That's a mistake by the pitcher. If the pitcher leaves the ball up, that ball has to be crushed.
And he fouled it off.
Right. So that tells me there's some fundamentals that he's got to work through in the minor leagues, which is going to take a little bit of work.
Now, exactly. Now, this is what he was when they initially drafted him, though.
Correct. So then the question becomes, I like you, kid. What round would you put him in? My guy will say, you like him, Robles? All right, what round would you put him in right now? And I'm like, wait, I got to see him more. I don't give a shit. What, like, they're trying to teach me, grow some gonads. Tell me exactly what you feel, what your eyes see. I don't care if you're right or wrong. Just tell me where your head's at. And that's why I told you, like, my guys train me so good because they challenge me to the highest level. And they actually pushed me, as far as I was concerned, to greatness, or at least given me the tools I needed to be successful.
Right.
And, but I would say just based on that, high school kid, I want him. I like him. He's only going to hit based on his body type, because you got to remember he's going to get 20 to 30 more pounds maybe of muscle or weight, not muscle, but weight. He's going to get stronger. I'll project 15 on a low year, 25, no, not 30. I'd say 25 on a high year of home runs based on what I'm seeing. Now, how much are you willing to pay for that? Because if you tell me he's a first pick or first rounder or second rounder, you're not doing your job. You're overpaying. There's going to be some development. He's got to grow. So I'm thinking round 8, round 10 would be a good spot for him.
Gotcha.
I'd give him a couple $100,000 and a soda and a bag of Doritos, and good luck, kid.
Let me see something.
Now, but before I can even go there, we'd have to talk to his scout. And we'd have to see what his signability is. Because if he wants 400 and I'm only willing to give him 250, then I don't know if I really want this player. So those are the factors that we have to think about too.
Yeah, this is stuff, Eric. What we call the average fan, the common guy wouldn't look at a swing like you go, wow, what a swing, and you go, oh no, it's not. So I like it.
Well, and I've seen so many games, and like Verlander, for example. I know we're talking about the old guy. He would see that in a heartbeat, and he would just pound in until the kid would make that adjustment. And once he made the adjustment, he'd go away to see if he can get him leaning a little bit. And once he got him leaning a little bit, he'd start pounding him in again.
Right on.
Let's
Eric,
take a look at this.
Video. While Eric's doing that, I got a question. You just talked about it while you were introing that piece on Matos. So a young player is coached in a way to make the play that you see him best being fit to make a play or swing the bat the proper way, right?
Right.
So I played 1 year of ball that you would never
Don't worry.
My deal was hockey. So I played hockey. And when we were being coached and I was young, like I was 16 to 19. So getting up to the American Hockey League, you were coached to make the play in practice every day. It was just, and even then, I mean, I wasn't enough. All I was looking for was somebody to drop the gloves. So you didn't have to really coach me. You just say, go beat him up. Right.
Right.
But, was there ever a player you scouted who didn't take the mindset to do it your way and just cost them a career? You would say, you got the world by the balls if you do it this way. And they wouldn't adapt. I mean, it was adapt or die, and they just said, I'm going to die. I'm doing it my way. Was there ever players, or are there players who come along and they're just not coachable? They won't do it your way or learn to do it the right way.
Yeah, it's a good point, Glenn. There are players that will act like they're coachable, but they're not really listening to what you're saying.
They're
Yeah.
going through the
Good point.
motions, so to speak.
Right. And they're a little arrogant because you can tell that they're not doing what you tell them to do. And in those players, you just say, hey, good luck, kid. I'm out. Even though your signing bonus is going to be 1.5 maybe, and you got all this raw power, I'm not going to touch you with a 10-foot pole, because there will be a situation where someone's going to want to make some swing adjustment and you're not open to it. That's going to ruin your career. And so if I do my homework and I do it well, I'm going to tell my guys, every guy wants his kid, but I don't want him, and here's why. And they're going to be like, you're crazy. I'll say, I know I am, but let's see where he ends up in 5 years, and we'll see if I'm right or wrong. And you have to stay convicted and fight for those things, because if you are convicted, that makes you a really good scout.
Yeah, because I know in hockey you're doing these. I called them at the time. See, when you watch the game, and you just like, if you're young and playing hockey, which I know better than baseball, I'm a big fan, but you would work on the development of a play. You would do the play over and over in practice and scrimmages in the morning. The fan in the stands just thinks you're running around like a whirling derby. Oh, they scored. But I mean, there's development of that play that they just don't understand.
Right.
So it's the same with baseball, I take it.
Yeah, in baseball, man, it's like some guys don't have the high aptitude because they weren't trained correctly, or they weren't in the right situation under the right summer ball coach or the right high school coach. So those are factors. So like, let's say I have a high school kid and I really like this kid. And a lot of times you want to get a high school kid over a college kid, because if he can make it to the big leagues in 3 years or 4 years, he's going to be almost the same age as the college kid coming out into the pros, but he's going to have to take 3 or 4 more years just to get through the system. So by the time he's 26, 27, 28, the college guy is going to make it. And then by that time, the high school kid will have 3 to 4 years of big league experience. However,
go ahead.
There's a big risk in that. And I'll tell you why, because I signed a kid out of high school and I thought this kid had it all. And to this day, I still think he's better than most of the guys in the outfield on the Giants. He's that kind of 5-tool player. The one thing that killed him, and we've talked about this, he's a good kid, by the way. They just said, hey, man, for whatever reason, he just wasn't mature enough. He couldn't handle it. And that right there taught me a lesson. So when I get the young kids, especially the young kids, I need to make sure they're at least 10 years or more ahead of their time mentally. They know
exactly. A player that age, and can you sometimes judge a player just maybe a cocky attitude? You go, you know what? Maybe this isn't.
Go to college, bro. You need to get humbled.
Yeah,
yeah.
There you go.
You see that in your travels.
And you want guys to be cocky on the field. You want them to think they're the best, but when they're off the field, you want them to be humbled. You want them to be good teammates. But I like guys with an edge, right? That's a good thing. But I want to see you tone it down a little bit and not carry that off the field, because then we're going to have some serious problems.
Yeah, you can see that the older they get, too. You see them in a major league locker room and there's walking around cocky. And I find this fascinating discussion.
Yes, yeah. Great.
I know Eric's got more video here. It's going to be
absolutely. Yeah, we'll get into that real quick. We'll get into this later. I think you were talking about this last night in the chat, the JUCO rule.
Yeah, I read about that last night, and the chat could help me out. Just tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I read and what I provided, it looks like you can go to a JUCO now, and you're not on the timer for a 4-year, going to a 4 year. So let's say I go to JUCO in the past, you get 4 years of eligibility to play college ball. Well, technically, when you do 1 year, 2 years at JUCO, you burnt 1 or 2 years out of the 4 years.
Oh, so it doesn't count against you if you're
now. It doesn't count against you. Now your timer starts once you go into a 4-year university.
So basically you're more experienced.
You're going to be older coming out of college.
Yeah.
I think it might be better for football versus baseball, because I feel like this year the rookies played better in football because of that year of COVID. They got an extra year of eligibility. So you see a lot of the rookies this year, they're a year older than the old rookies. So they're technically weathered, ready to play. They're like 26, 25 playing in rookie league, right? Versus being 23, 22, like they used to. And so that extra year of maturity is a big difference.
Right. Do you think it's going to be better for baseball or worse?
It could be better. It could be better for like watching a better college game, and you might get a little bit more polished guys coming out of college.
Fair.
The only bad news I look at it as, you don't want old guys playing in the big leagues. You want young guys playing in the big leagues.
Right.
Because if you have young guys, it's more athletic, more fast, more competitive. But it goes back to that maturity. You got to make sure you hit on the mental part, or they're not going to make it.
Isn't it true that can kids get out of, I mean, they could be drafted before they finish college though, right?
Yeah. So here's how it worked. And I don't know if it changed, but it's how it worked when I was scouting. And I'm sure it's the same. Once you go to a 4-year, you cannot be drafted until you're a junior.
Oh, so okay. Gotcha.
You have to stay with that school until you're at least a junior. And if you don't get drafted, then you get drafted the next year.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And another thing I was going to tell you too, with JUCO guys, what we used to do with JUCO, we would draft them in the later rounds. They used to have 50 rounds back in the day. Now I think it's down to 30. But let's say we get a JUCO guy in the 40th round. We call those guys draft and follow, which means they go back to JUCO the next year. We own their rights for a year. If we see an improvement and we're ready to sign them after 1 year of JUCO, then we'll just sign them right away and they go straight to the pros. They don't have to re-enter the draft.
Gotcha.
But they have to have a really good year at JUCO to show us that they're signable, and then they go back and we get them out there.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Luis Matos, guys. Sorry for the diversion, but here, this is from earlier this last year. Looks like it was in San Diego. Let's take a look. I already got it to the slow motion part. Let's take a look.
Okay. Let's see if that leg kick, he made an adjustment.
It's gone.
It's gone. See? So somebody got rid of it. Which tells me that's okay. As long as he's comfortable with it and he didn't lose any power, I'm good with it.
He reached for that one. Let's look. Okay, come on. They don't want to go back that far. Let's do the slow motion. Here we go. Come on.
This is good stuff. This gets me fired up.
Boosh. So what did you see there?
Okay.
I wish I could slow it down, but I can't. Oh, it's
sitting. It looks like he's sitting on a curveball. And he knew it was coming. The only thing I didn't like about his swing last year, it seemed like he was more of a pull hitter.
Okay.
I want to see guys hit power to all fields.
Okay.
Well, maybe that was his mindset too. Maybe that was coming in because Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, heading into our first series, remember he got called up first series and he got some playing time? Didn't he really beef up last offseason?
He did.
He did. He did beef up.
He put on a
big time. He put on some muscle. He put on like 15.
Maybe he changed maybe he was a little more aggressive with the beef.
But that is interesting. If you look, I mean, let's take a look just one more time. Look how he looks in this, the way he's in his stance. He's not as upright, or is he just reaching? It's hard to tell because of that. You know what? Let's go back.
He's wide. It looks like he's really wide. Hold on. Yep.
Let's
going.
Look.
He's a little bit out in front. You see how his front leg bends a little bit?
Yes.
So his weight shifts a little too soon. But that tells me if a guy gets out in front and still hits a home run, the kid's got strong hands.
Got strong hand. Okay.
And
that's something I think they talked about. They said his bat speed is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. And guys that have strong hands and they have flexible wrist, those guys can whip the bat head anytime they want.
Now, isn't that now? I mean, granted, swinging a bat is much more complicated. I get it. But I heard, and that's something I think that Hank Aaron, right? They said his wrists were
Willie
absolutely.
Mays. You see Willie
Mays? Exactly.
You guys remember a guy named Leon Lee? I don't know if you remember Leon Lee. Derek Lee's dad and Derek Lee too. Sacramento guys. Leon played in Japan. He won the home run record. Leon used to do camps all over Sacramento. I did a couple camps with him. And I met him, and the guy is incredible. One of the best hitting instructors I've ever met. But if you look at his paws, they are so big. And he used to mess around with me. He would take his hands and he'd flick them up and down, and he can get his hand to touch the front part of his forearm, and then his hand would touch the back part of his forearm. That's how much flexibility he had in his wrist. I'm like, this guy is incredible. So, like that's next level. Like, and that's another thing I learned about scouting, and it humbled me to death because when I was a kid, I always thought I was going to be in the big leagues. That was my dream. Oh, I'm going to play here. I'm going to play on the Giants. I was decent, but not elite like some of these guys. But once I started scouting, I went, holy crap, these guys have God-given ability. The stuff that they do, you cannot teach it. You either have it or you don't.
Mm.
And that's when I went, I'm not as good as I thought I was when I was a kid. And that's when I went, oh crap, these guys are just like super freaks and they don't even know that they were blessed. But they woke up one day and this is what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
So it's just incredible. Like the stuff that they can do, you just can't teach it.
Every sport's got him. You see a guy like, remember Vladdy Senior?
Oh yeah.
Most guys need a step ladder to hit a fastball up, and he no problem. Or they'd have to be on the 18th green to hit that one, and he hit the home run. The guy could hit it. It didn't matter where you pitched him.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be good because you know who they're playing?
The Dodgers.
So this is good. Let's take a look at this one and tell me again. This is June of last year.
Okay.
Let's take a look at him. Tell me what you think. Again,
gets his foot down. That time, look at his front leg locked out.
Oh, it's not bent.
It's not bent. You know what that tells us? He stayed back and he got the swing he wanted.
Okay.
And the pitch was where? Did you see where the pitch was? It was
middle.
Inside. See how it's inside? And that's exactly where you're supposed to hit it. Left field. Right?
I see where he's locked in. I see that front leg where you're talking about. He knew it too.
He knew it. He knew it. Yep. See that power? He's got some pop. The kid's got some pop. The problem is, can we get it consistently like that? That's the hard part. But
I wish I could slow it down.
With him, I would like to see oppo power more this year, and I would like to see more doubles and more triples. And I'm okay with 15 to 20 home runs a year with more doubles and triples, and his batting average being high. I'm okay with that.
See here, I'm gonna play and stop. You see, he's just got almost like a little toe tap. Not even a toe tap.
Yep, he gets
it's
that
just
foot
his
down.
feel.
Right now, he's ready to go. His backside's going now. His hands have gone a little bit. That's another thing about hitting is the hands will lead. Like, okay, so your hands go back a little bit as your front foot's going forward, just a little bit. But then as you're getting through the zone, your hands lead, and then your backside will catch up, and then they'll go together.
I don't know about you, Eric. I'll never be able to watch Nat bat it the same ever again.
I know.
Blowing my mind here.
Yeah, it's just fun because you start understanding, oh, crap. I go to games all the time, and I'll tell my girl, watch, the pitcher's going to do this, and he does it. Watch, the hitter. And here's another thing. When guys are taking pitches, when they're landing on their front foot, oh, crap. That's not a good thing. You know why? Because mentally, they're not ready for the next pitch. They've developed bad habits. When a hitter takes a pitch and he's in a balanced position and his weight's back, his hands are back, now I know they're locked in.
Gotcha.
So you'll learn a lot about a hitter when they're taking pitches.
Okay. When they're taking the body language and how they're setting up, so to speak, is what you're saying.
Correct.
And look at that. He's keeping that. You want to keep that front arm in, right? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, his hands are inside the ball, and his top hand's getting ready to come through the ball. He has a little bit of an uphill swing.
Little uphill, yeah.
Little uphill, which I think that's why he had a ton of strikeouts last year. So they're gonna try to level him out a little bit and hit more of the top half of the ball.
And do you think maybe that was a philosophy of the Giants where they were? Is that a type of swing where it's all guts and no glory? Is that what that is?
I think honestly they were letting guys do what they were comfortable with, but they weren't having like a team philosophy, in my opinion.
So it was just free.
In my opinion,
whatever.
Yeah, I think this is why I'm fired up with Posey being in the helm, because this guy is going to say, this is how we need to train from minor leagues all the way up to the big leagues. And I'm going to hold every single one of you accountable.
Beautiful.
And that gets me fired up because that's exactly how the Rays were the #1 farm system with no payroll, is they relied on the farm system and player development. Like, we didn't have any money. And they were always competitive year after year. And I believe 2008 was the first year they went to the World Series. And I was part of the regime that year. And that was a huge breakthrough for the team because it took them year after year of being in last place for God knows how long. First round. We even drafted Josh Hamilton. Do you remember Josh Hamilton?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, he started getting on drugs and whatnot. That's a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
he was that talented to hit 40 to plus home runs. He had those kind of tools. And those are the kind of guys, the BJ Uptons of the world. Freddie, my regional boss, he signed Evan Longoria. He also signed Jamie Shields. And he signed Jacob McGee in Reno High School. Jacob McGee pitched for us a couple of years back in 21. He was the closer.
Yeah.
Remember when we went on that run? The big
McGee.
lefty? Yeah. When I met the kid, he was 165 pounds, 6'3", freckle face, braces.
165 at 6'3"? That's a pencil, man.
He was like, whoosh. You're like, holy crap.
You literally see these guys develop. Wow.
Yeah. And now he's like, what, 260? I don't know what he is, but the guy could still throw. But I love that kid. I really love that kid. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like the way the game is.
So this is different.
Okay,
I'm pulling up some more film here.
That really blows my mind tonight. That you made that. That's kind of such a brave statement when you said it was like now you'll see a change with Posey. It was like you feel it was like a free for all.
I feel that way, and I think you guys know this. When you're a leader, the team or the company takes on that personality. And Farhan was a nice guy. I'm not trying to like degrade him or anything, but I felt like he wasn't convicted when he talked. He didn't have a lot of conviction.
He had no conviction.
Right. And people felt that energy, and you have to have conviction. Whatever way you go, you got to have some kind of conviction. And I actually worked underneath Friedman before Friedman is a Dodger. Mm-hmm. But the guy was incredible. He had conviction. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and he made everyone accountable. So, I mean, one of my wishes after the season was getting Posey to take the job, and a week later he takes the job. But I think we're in good hands. I know he's going to go through some rough patches because he's still learning on the fly. But I think we have the right guy at the top because everyone's going to feed off that energy.
What do you got for us, Eric?
Here's another one, and this was like 2 days before the one we just saw. And this one's a little bit different because watch that front foot.
Yeah, he barely picked it up on the other one, right?
Yeah, now he's got a fairly big.
Yep. So that tells me he made a swing adjustment, and he's still pulling the ball. Let's see, got an uphill swing. His foot got down at the right time, and I know he's sitting dead red curveball or slider. That's why he hit that ball in the park.
Do you think, because I think the other guy was a righty, this is a lefty, you think maybe that has something to do with it? Maybe he sees a lefty, so he could do the leg kick? Is that something? I don't know. Maybe he can see the lefty bit and he feels okay.
It might, but I've never seen it. But it might. I mean,
I don't know.
If it works for him, good for him, right?
But that's interesting how in that one he barely had a leg kick. Again, it's all timing mechanisms, right?
He might have made the adjustment because he wasn't getting it down in time. So he said, you know what, I'm getting rid of this crap. Let's just keep it down so I'm ready to go.
Just quiet it down, quiet things down, maybe?
Quiet things down, man. Quiet it down. And like you'll hear guys say, and this is the old school approach, but it still works. 2 strikes, widen out your stance a little bit, choke up a little bit, shorten up a little bit. Just put barrel on the ball.
Right.
Like that's old school, but it still works.
But it still works. If you want to get that hit, that's what's going to work, right?
Right. I mean,
to get to the question, I mean, the potential, he's still young. I think he's only 23, something like that. I think he's only 23. He's young. But I mean, he's going to have to show something. Would you have, as a scout, would you have him as your starting right fielder rather than Yaz?
Yeah, I think I would. However, we got to see how they look in spring training.
Fair.
Because if Matos tanks in spring training and Yaz doesn't, then I got to go with the hot hand.
That's fair. I get it.
But as long as he can show me some consistency and I see that the kid has improved, I'm going to stick with him because I can see that if I stick with him, this is more of a long-term play. But I need to let the kid know I'm going to go to bat for you, and I'm going to give you 30 days of staying behind you, whether you fail or not. You got 30 days regardless.
Okay.
If you tank every day for 30 days, I'm going to have to get rid of you and go with someone else.
That makes sense. You got to have – this is what I love, man. Paul, you're speaking about it because I'm all about leadership. I love leadership.
Yeah.
You got to be able to communicate with these kids and say, you got to give – look, you just don't get it. You just don't say, okay, go out there and give me your at-bats and then we'll see. You got to set some boundaries, right? Hey,
right.
But a reasonable – look, it's not, let's see what you could do for 2 weeks. That's
right.
stupid. Give me a month. Let me see what
right.
you do. And again, you've said it before, even if the guy is getting solid contact and is getting outs, the at-bats are looking good. So you could still, okay, I like what you did in those 30 days. I'm going to give you another 30 days. Rather than just saying, okay, we're facing a bunch of lefties. You're on the team, but as soon as the guy's gone, and then you're out of the game.
But I'm also going to hold them accountable and say, listen, you better show me you're busting your butt. I want you here early. I want you here late. If you go a day or two where you're not busting your butt, I'm taking you out of the game. I don't care who you are.
You got to show hustle.
You got to show me something, because if I'm going to bat for you, you got to go to bat for me and your team.
That makes sense. It's a two-way street.
Two-way street.
Absolutely.
That
makes sense.
He's still young, though. He's still young.
Yeah. No,
do you think there's room? Do you think there's room? I was thinking about this today on my flight, actually. Do you think there's room for I hate using this. It's so Farhan-esque, but can you see a platoon situation? You got a righty and a lefty to play right field.
Yes and no.
Because I don't like seeing Yaz in there every freaking day with his 210 average. What do you think?
Here's what I think. It's a good question. I think if you go with the young guy, you got to build his confidence up. You got to stay with him and you got to grind with him, right? However, as you're a skipper and your team's struggling and you're trying to find something, a spark, you may have to go with the veteran just to change things up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't really know that's going to happen. It's more of a gut feel. You're just doing it on the fly because you can see your team, you can see the look in their eye. The energy's down. You need a spark. But I think you just need to trust your gut and really just say, you know what, we're going to go young, and tell the kid, this is a partnership. I want to see you succeed. Whatever resource you need, if you struggle, we are here for you to help you to get out of whatever slump you're in.
Right on, Paul.
You better promise me one thing. You better bust your ass every day, good or bad, because I need you to perform at the highest level, and we want you to perform.
Yeah, that was one of the frustrating things I know for the fans. And sometimes, you know what? At the minor hockey league level, I'm sure it's the same in baseball. So you get the fans who come out, and your goaltender is 1-15. And
Wow.
the fans are having a conniption fit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Montreal made the decisions in Fredericton. You play them, and that's what it is. It's development, right?
Yep.
That's what it's all about. It's same in ball, right?
Right. So, I mean, sometimes, too, you get the hot hand, and you hear the stories about the Wally Pipp story.
Yeah, Lou Gehrig, yeah.
Sometimes you get Wally pipped, right? You're sick for a day, or you get hurt for a day, and some guy takes your job. You never see the playing field again.
I was going to do that to Dan, wasn't I, Eric? Remember that came up? That's right. Yeah. That was a popular topic. Wally Pipp.
That was funny.
Don't ever get pipped, man. No.
That was funny.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your. You don't want to let a guy like a newcomer play shortstop in Baltimore. You saw what happened, right? Yeah. And then, of course, Lou Gehrig.
Well, remember last year he got rookie of the was it the month or the week? I forget.
Who?
Matos.
Oh, he had 16 RBIs in a week.
So remember how hot he was, and remember how our team started going off too? Like there was,
and then they moved him to the leadoff for no reason.
That screwed him. But then he started tanking. For. I still blame it on, in my mind, player development. Not only do you got to work on the fundamentals and the video and all that, but you got to have a really good psychologist that can work them out of the mental part.
Dude, it's funny how you say that, because have you read Ned Coletti's book, The Big Chair?
I have not. I want to.
Dude, you got to read it. I'm going to tell you something right now. He talks about that in his book, where they were one of the first clubs to hire a psychologist to be able to talk to the players. Because again, and I think you said it too the last time you were on, the very first time, you know, a lot of the game involves your mental health, so to speak. So, and again, it may have paid dividends. And I think maybe, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that the Giants do have one of those guys or gals on their staff.
If you can put yourself in their head for a second, imagine you're in front of 40,000 fans, and imagine you strike out or you make an error, and imagine everyone's booing you.
Yeah.
Already, just from a human element, you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know you're better than that, but for whatever reason it happened. And now the mental part, this is where it eats you alive. Please don't let the ball come to me because I don't want to make another error. You can't play like that, but that's what gets into your brain. Or please don't strike out. Please, please, please. And so you're worried about striking out. You end up striking out.
You're not concentrating on a bat at hand. Yeah. You're more worried about the outcome before the outcome is even there.
Right. Well, Paul, also with the you talk about having letting the kind of development really, but I don't know how many times it frustrated the hell out of me last year. Eric and I have talked about it almost per nauseum. It frustrated the hell out of me as a fan because I went to last year probably 75% of the games at Oracle Park.
Right.
Didn't know who was playing in what position. Didn't know where they were in the lineup. I'm sure the players showed up and they're like, Wilmer, you're at third. Next day, Wilmer, you're at first. Wilmer, I know you hit 7 home runs in the last 3 games. You're not playing tonight in Cincinnati. Like, what is the mentality, even for a veteran player, when you're in a setup like the Giants have had the last couple of years where it was, you talk about a free-for-all, you didn't know what the hell, there was no consistency. That's got to be a mindset on a player, doesn't it?
Yeah. God bless Bob, man. He was just hanging on strong. Okay, let's put your head in the skipper's mind for a second. You don't have the Dodgers lineup. If you have the Dodgers lineup, you have the consistent lineup. You already know who's playing every day, unless they get hurt, right? The fans know, everyone's happy. Bobbleheads are everywhere. Jerseys are everywhere. Everyone's happy. Now you inherited this rat-a-tat lineup that one day one guy's hot, one day the other guy's hot, the other guy's not doing anything. We need to win. I got pressure from the top. I don't even know. I got to mix and match. I'm hanging on for my dear life, right? But it goes back to leadership. If you have, let's just call it what it is. We were like a developmental team.
Yes.
Really?
Okay.
Really?
We were not. I always said from afar, they kind of look like a AAA team trying to play in the big leagues.
Yes.
And technically that's what we were, but we just call them the Giants because somebody's got to play on the team. Right? But if you think about it, it was a developmental team, meaning guys are developing on the fly. They're learning on the fly. And there's too many variables when you're coaching that roster.
You're not setting them up for success by doing that.
You're not. And it's not sustainable success. You can't repeat it. It's just at some point you're going to run into issues. So you better have a strong leader. You better have strong player development. You better, in my mind, this is how I look at it. If I was Bob Melvin and that was my team and my job was on the line, you know what I would have done? All right, listen up, everyone. You're all going to get an extra $100,000 a year or $200,000, whatever it is. We're going to pay you for that. And here's what I'm going to propose. You're showing up to the yard earlier than you've ever been. We're going to do a full workout. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're sore. We are going to have to outwork these guys because we don't have the talent. We have to do everything spot on perfect just to beat anybody at this level. Yep. And then when the game's over, you're going to go eat dinner and we're going to go practice again.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pay you, but you guys are going to be grinders. Because
that's like Team USA hockey in 1980 all over again, beating the Russians.
I love it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Real quick, we got JT commenting here. Says Luis Matos ain't going against MLB pitchers in Venezuela. Fake news here. Don't be disappointed this season. What do you make of that?
Coming in hot.
Yeah.
That's a good point, but it's still baseball. he's showing consistency. He's showing, and there are big leaguers in that league, guys that might have been released or guys that might be older. And then it's more like AA type of players. But Hunter Pence went out there one year when he was trying to get his swing figured out. So there's probably a good handful of big leaguers, and then there's probably a handful of former big leaguers, and there's probably a handful of young guys.
I think Pablo used to go down there often.
Right. So, I mean, it might be like a step above the Mexican League. But at the end of the day, you're still getting exposure to baseball, and you're still working on your craft.
Yeah.
And if you can get that momentum going into next year, that's a huge confidence builder.
Yep.
You know, but the thing is, you can't, even though the game speeds up in the big leagues and it's harder, you can't make it harder. You got to make it simple, even though it is hard.
Okay.
So that's the mental part. Don't make it bigger than it really is. It's still a baseball game.
So, Paul, what did you think? What did you think about? So, what I said about, you know, not knowing whether you're playing or what position. Take it a step further. And again, last year's Giants. What did you think as a guy who loves the game and having the background you do? When you looked at the Sanford team you love, and you saw that, all right, even a guy who was performing. So Matos is batting 8th, and he goes 4 for 4. The next night, 2 for 4. You're having a good little stretch. And then he's batting 2nd in the lineup and goes 0 for 12. Like,
yeah,
I
players
do
don't like that
consistency. You gotta did you ever throw up your hands and go, what the hell is going on over there?
Yeah, players don't like that, man. And that's a good point. Players get pissed off because, I mean, we're all human, right? You're on a hot streak. You're feeling good. You feel like you need to be rewarded. And then all of a sudden you get demoted in your mind, but you really weren't, but you are. And it's like, why? Stick to the hot hand. It's working. Once it stops working, then switch it up.
I just thought they moved players around too much.
Yeah, I would agree with you, man. That was frustrating. And Bob better get it together because I don't have a lot of patience. I think Bob's a good skipper because everyone loves playing for the guy. I tell my girlfriend, I'm like, this guy gets his ass kicked almost every night, but everyone loves playing for Bob. So he's doing something right.
Right. And a lot of that was probably Farhan, right? I mean, he was probably getting a little bit too micromanaged.
But I think Bob's got the right temperament. He doesn't get on the guys.
He doesn't fly off the handle. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's going to hold them accountable. So I just want to see him do good, man, because I think he deserves it. He's also a former Giant, so it's going to be a good story to tell. But, you know, he just needs to get a little bit more thick skin and get a little bit more convicted with his lineups, convicted with his people. Like, hey, have his back. If Matos is going off, stick with it. I don't give a shit. If someone else says this guy can go here, stick with what you know and go.
And a lot of that was the platooning. It was the aggressive platooning that led to, Glenn, to what you're talking about. It was all because of the almighty play. You did not forsake the platoon god. You just didn't.
Good ball clubs don't do that. When you go to Yankee Stadium, you see Judge in his spot in the lineup for the most part every day. So, Paul, riddle me this: a short snapper. We're hearing word on the street that it was Farhan. I mean, he was pulling strings in that lineup. Is that something that happens in other organizations, or this is just San Francisco Giants baseball?
Well, I would have to say, if we watch the movie Moneyball, we know it did happen with the A's at some point.
Right.
Now,
well, it didn't always. The manager put his foot there. He ain't play this. He just trade them.
And I know Farhan was under Billy Beane. He was under Billy Beane. So I always said too, why are we acting like a small version of the Oakland A's?
I know it never made sense.
So I don't know if it happens like that everywhere, but I noticed it happened more with Farhan.
Just wondering because you don't really. I mean, you watch other channels or I watch baseball all the time. You don't really get that glimpse in. I say, well, these players, how come I can watch a Phillies game and this is the lineup I saw in June and August? Nothing's changed. And our lineup's never the same day to day.
Right.
God, as a fan and not doing this or anything else, but to buy a ticket and go to the game and not even know. I went to a game 2 years ago on a Thursday night. 7 players in the lineup. It was Wade Meckler's first game. I mean, you can track back to that night. Didn't know. I'm like, who's the guy at short? Who's the guy at third? Who's Meckler? We didn't know what. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. It was Metallica hat night. I think that Eric and I have touched on it. If there's a great giveaway, they're at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Just go. And get a crab sandwich. Don't forget
frustrating.
Crab sandwich.
Frustrating being a fan.
Crab sandwich. Hey, Shota has a great question. He has a question for you, Paul. Did you read Baseball America's article about the survey they did about scouts' view in today's game and on the view of their organizations?
I did not. If he wants to write about it, just, fill me in. That'd be great. But
if he said, if not, he goes, if not, your opinion on direction of scouting.
So I've been out of the game. Last time I scouted was 13 years ago. And I always say baseball is always baseball. So if I ever went back into the game, I'm still going to notice it's the same game. One of the things I noticed when I was in it is, it's a very political, very arrogant, very prideful business, meaning I played pro ball. I know everything. I played in the big leagues. I know everything. Yeah, you know a lot. And you know what? I want to learn from you because I want to hear about your stories because I think it's very interesting. But anybody, you guys, me, fans, we can learn. We can know just as much as those guys. So it's I don't know, man. I think a lot of guys play it safe too in scouting, meaning we used to call the scouts the wolf pack, meaning there'd be like 15 teams going and watching the same guy. And me and my guys are like, we're not going with the wolf pack. We're going to go find where no one's looking and find the diamonds in the rough. That's how you make a name for yourself. Everyone knows about the wolf pack. We already know those players. We already got write-ups on them. We don't need to go see them 100 times. Let those guys fight over those one or two players, but we're going to go on this other side and make a name for ourselves and make the history books. Because one of the things that scouts, people don't understand too sometimes, is when you become an area scout and you sign that guy to a big league contract, or not a big league, I'm sorry, amateur pro contract. Once you sign them, and if they ever make the Hall of Fame, even if they go on several different teams, your name is in the history books with that person when they go.
Yeah, that's true. You see that often, even on Twitter. Hey, you ever see that on Twitter where there's a guy, hey, here is the scouting report on Hank Aaron. Here's the scouting report on Willie Mays. Yeah, absolutely, man.
And so that you take some pride in that, right? You want to be that guy. You want to find the next Hall of Famer. You want to find the next Willie Mays if he's ever out there. And so I think when I left the game, there was a ton of Wolfpack scouts, I used to call them. And guys just didn't have the cojones to really put their neck out there and believe in their convictions and make a name for themselves. And I think that's where the game's used to go. I don't know if it's still going there, but one of the things I took pride in is like, if they're going to fire me, I'm going out like a champ. Let's do this.
Right. Man.
Because you got to remember, these poor scouts, man, they're on a year-to-year contract. And the only way you really have job security is if you've got a couple guys in the big leagues that are big names. And even if your GM or your scouting director gets fired, technically the new regime comes in, they get rid of all the area scouts and all the scouting, whatever. They're gone. Cross-checkers, they're all gone. They bring in their own people. Well, if you're that good, you'll get picked up by another team no matter what. So that's how you develop your job security. But when you're starting out and you're trying to make the roster and you're hoping and praying you get another year at the end of the year, a 1-year contract, you're grinding every day to make sure you're turning in the right players. And it's fun, man. Like I said, I think scouting is a good experience. I think I was putting some notes down right here for the chat, actually. And I want to just kind of throw this out there with the chat. If you guys want to take your game to the next level, start looking into, even starting in the next month, go to some D1 games. Stanford, Cal Berkeley, UC Davis, Texas comes in. Some of these nationally ranked teams will come in and play these guys. Go to those big games and just start looking at what players you like and why do you like them. And if you even think they're going to be a big leaguer. And if they get drafted, figure out what round they got drafted in and then track them all the way through. See how far they go. And that's where you start learning, like, holy crap, this game is harder than I thought. Because for every guy that gets signed, out of 100 people, there's only 3 guys that will make it to the big leagues that get signed a major league contract.
Mm-hmm.
So 3% will actually make it. And the odds are so stacked against you. So like for you to just go to a game, go, I like this player, he's good. We got to do a little bit more diving than that. And it's a fun part, because when you start seeing them play in the big leagues and they become a superstar, you can say, I saw that kid at whatever, Stanford.
Right.
And I was convicted. You know what? I might be good at this one day. And maybe this is something I want to pursue.
I think Eric and I are going to be going to the games, like I say, and Eric likes to talk when we go to the games together, so he makes friends all over the ballpark. Next year, I can see him going. See how he put his foot down. He's hitting that curveball. I can see Eric's going to be like the professional scout in section 321 next year.
Well, it's kind of hard when you're up in the upper deck. It's hard to really see anything. But
yeah, were you with me the day some fan broke my binoculars? I was.
Yeah.
Angry Glenn. I was mad that day.
Look, you're stirring the juices.
I'm stirring the juices, baby. That's what we're about.
All this talk
have you
about
ever seen a player that it doesn't matter if you've scouted them or but a guy, I mean, shoot me, Eric, shut me down if you want. I got lots of questions, man. This is great, Paul.
Awesome.
Have you ever seen a player, and it doesn't have to be anyone in particular, but again, we saw it in hockey so much, man. You get a guy who gets 46 goals in the minors, and you know who gets called up? The first-round draft pick. Do you ever see a guy you go, holy crap, he surprised us all, this guy's great, but never got his shot?
Yeah, you see that happen all the time. Guys, some guys will go through the rankings and for whatever reason they didn't get drafted, and then they get picked up as a free agent, or maybe a guy gets hurt, has to go to rehab, and then you follow their career, right? Or the guy gets in trouble with the law, and now you're going, oh crap, he's got all the tools like Josh Hamilton, but I don't know if I want to put my name on this guy. But I mean, the way scouting works now, like players, they got this thing called the Major League Baseball Scouting Bureau. That's also the commissioner's office opened it up, and you'll see the MLB guys doing their little scouting reports, and they'll put video on these guys and they'll put them on the MLB website. So like most of the time you're not going to miss on players. Now you could find these diamonds in the rough in some of these other like Midwest, maybe some of these little small states that no one really wants to drive to. Aaron Judge was interesting because I wish I would have discovered him out of high school. He came out of Linden.
Yep.
And I wish I would have made a trip out there, because if I would have seen him, I would have definitely pulled the trigger out of high school. But since I didn't drive past Stockton, right, it killed me, because I'm like, dude, that's a Hall of Famer. It's like, I don't know, another hour away. Just one more hour in the car, I could have found a Hall of Famer, right? Yeah. But he went to Fresno State, and then everyone started to see him and see what he could do. But yeah.
But not just talent, Paul, but like, again, and I equate everything to the sport of hockey, which I know so well. But just I know certain guys that have crossed paths in my life, and you go, dude, you got screwed. Why? I'll give you an example. There was a guy drafted by the New York Rangers who became Edmonton Oiler property. His name was Stephen Rice. Stephen, geez, he didn't really pan out. But again, Johnny LeBlanc was a 50-goal scorer. They had to call somebody up. And what does the parent team do? We can't call up the 9th round pick who's got 50 goals. We got to call up our 1st round pick. And do you see that in ball at all, where it becomes almost political situation?
Sometimes, and that's a good point. Like, there's sometimes you can get like a college All-American. The kid's awesome, but maybe he doesn't have a lot of pop. Maybe he's not going to be a big leaguer. Maybe he's just a really good minor leaguer. Well, guess what? We might take him as a senior sign, which means we'll give him $1,000 and a bag of Doritos and a 6-pack of beer, and you're on your way. Yeah. But technically, the guy's like a Pedroia. He's that good. He just needs to be treated like a Pedroia. And those kids might get drafted or signed, and they might not, but it does happen sometimes. But I feel like nowadays guys get scouted, even if they have some kind of number, someone's going to pick them up. And even if they draft them late or sign them as a free agent, they'll get them out there somehow.
Yeah, I just saw too much when I was younger. When you get a guy like you have a great, you're having the best season anybody could have. Like, where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
Because Eric was drafted in the first round. It's very political, and they go, we're going to call up our right winger Eric today, and everybody. Then it's not about skill or anything. It's
political.
First round pick. It becomes like we don't want egg in our. We can't call up our 9th round pick.
Right.
The first round pick. And really, the first rounder really doesn't deserve it. It's political.
It gets like that too. Like when you're a first round pick, you get more opportunities, even if you're batting $150.
Yes.
There's just an investment because the organization wrote a check for $2 million or $3 million.
Yes.
Right. So they're going to try everything.
It's
right.
Yes, the investment, the whole
right.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys, I have a good friend of mine, Ricky, I forget his last name, but this guy's a big leaguer. Had all the tools. First baseman, he could have been the guy for the Giants, right? But Ricky wouldn't shut his mouth, and he got into a fight with one of the skippers in A-ball. He knocked him out, and he lost his job, and Ricky can't play ball again. But if Ricky would just shut up, or if he would have taken the abuse from the coach and not fought back, or if the guy touched him, not touch him back, he would have probably been playing the big leagues. But he just wouldn't back down, which I don't blame him. But you'll hear about some stories like that where guys got a raw deal.
Yeah.
Right.
It happens, man.
A lot of stuff goes on the fans don't see.
They don't see, man. They don't see.
Right.
They don't see.
The
But
story behind the story, right?
the hardest
Where things happen, Eric,
Yeah.
that the fans never even hear about.
Never have
Something
any.
happens in practice, closed door practice, you see happen, and 20 years later, I go, geez, you guys never even heard. This day of, 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Oh, you could keep it in their lids a lot
Back
easier.
then, there was no social media. There was no cameras.
Yeah.
Things were a little more under wrap. You know what? We know what was bad. And this is topic maybe for another night. But in hockey, there was one really bad incident that I'm sworn for the rest of it. I can't tell you what it was about. But there was a hazing incident.
Ooh.
And that the player who was involved sued. His parents sued the team. So his career came to an end, but he became very wealthy. So I guess they lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
But is there hazing in baseball, man? Or was there? Or like that again?
There probably is to some degree, but they do a lot of drinking. There's a lot of drinking in baseball.
Really?
Yeah, those guys, I mean, you're dealing with the slump. You're in the middle of nowhere. You got no family.
Didn't you see the photos of Kikuchi? You didn't see the photos of Kikuchi with Yu Darvish?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was all over Twitter, man.
I didn't see that.
They had a dinner, and I guess Kikuchi got freaking blasted, and it had a picture of him laying down on the floor of his residence, man. Passed out. Yeah.
Hey, man, it wouldn't surprise me.
It's happened to the best of us, Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
The break.
But I'm just saying, to your point, though, Glenn, with the advent of freaking social media, that's broadcasted everywhere. Back in the day, we never heard about it.
No.
Would have never heard about it.
Dude,
So, hey, real quick,
the minor league buses, dude. I can tell you stories some night, Paul and Eric. You know what it was like 25 years ago riding to Baie-Comeau, 27 hours in the bus with no phone. You had people, even in our this generation of our chat. I went through more batteries I had a Discman, and that was huge back then. I had a Sony Discman.
Oh, look at you.
And Marc-Andre Fleury, the goaltender, is now from Minnesota, a 3-time Cup winner, rich as all get out. He would shaving cream every trip. He I don't know how many Discmen I went through.
Wow.
Oh, I've collected on that though.
I bet.
Mark, remember that trip? But anyway, yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. But man, we had times have changed.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to go over this grading scale. I don't know if you guys have heard about what scouts do when they grade players, like how they.
Don't tell. Is it up there with the Gabe Kapler food freaking? He uses the same thing, doesn't he? Like an 80 scale, right?
He does.
Yeah.
but his scale, yeah, dude.
Yeah, gotcha.
So 20 would be the lowest, 80 would be the highest.
Usually guys are in the 50s and 60s for the most part, right?
Depending, correct. So like when we're grading out their talent, we're projecting out who they are today and then where are we projecting out 5 years from now.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah, so like if they're, I don't know, we grade the bat speed, we grade home to first, we grade catcher's pop time from home to second, right? So like right now, our catcher, he's at a, let me pull it up. He's at a 1.9. I think he's at a 1.7 pop time. So he's labeled as an 8. He's at the top half of the scale. So he's elite for his catching.
Mm-hmm.
So they paid. So if you go back to our catcher, we put him in the first round. They gave him $2 million to be a defensive catcher. Now the bat was a little suspect.
Correct.
But if he can hit close to 300, holy shit, we have something.
Yeah, right.
You know, but we put him in the first round. I expect him, if I gave him a first round grade and I was the scout, he better be a Hall of Famer like Posey. He better be, or else guess what? I'm fired. I should go bye-bye. I'm a horrible scout.
Wow.
There you go.
So that's how you have to think when you're a scout. He's good. He's a Golden Glover. That's great. But I want to see that batting average go up a little bit. If he can
Eric,
be in the 80s.
next time we get Paul on the air, I'm going to make a list of good questions. One of them
I
that
know,
we just
dude.
talked about, I want to get him because I don't even want to get into it tonight. But one question I want to down the road, if I haven't scared you away, Paul, if you'll ever
No, you're good,
back,
bro.
if you'll ever come back on the show again, we were talking about my bus rides, technology.
Yep.
Some show I want to dive into the whole from top to bottom to top. Technology, how has it changed scouting and overall development of the players? Because you look at Moneyball. Remember, you saw in the computer used, it was like the old green screen.
Yeah. The old Apple IIes.
Look at Eric you just scouted a player on our show, and Eric was slow-moing. I mean,
yeah,
that has changed so quickly. And I think that'd be a great topic for a show, how
getting technology effective.
So what I used to do, it was great. When I had RBI and we were cranking, I had this technology. I forget the name of the software company, but it had the split screen ability, so I could get my player on one screen, and I could find a big league hitter that emulated his swing. And I could play their swing next to my guy's swing at the same time in slow motion.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and now with this whole, and I'm not technologically advanced enough, but knowing what little eeny beeny I know, AI's got to change the whole thing now to a different level.
Oh yeah.
Well, I bet it will.
But biomechanics has been around. So like Marty Demerit, I was telling you, Eric on Sunday, he published his book.
Oh yeah, it says like this thick.
Literally like bigger than a Bible. So if you can imagine this, but it was right this high. And he goes, Robles, and he's an old school guy. He goes, if you want to make some extra money, I need someone to help me publish this book. I'm like, I've never published a book.
What do I know about publishing a book?
Yeah, but knowing you, Paul, you were like, I'll get right on it.
Yeah. I go, all right, I got a challenge. I got to try it. So I'm calling these publishers, and they're laughing at me. They're like, how many pages is it? I'm like, it's bigger than a Bible. Hell no. The only thing we can do with it is have like 20 different volumes, but we'd have to really dissect it. And so I told him, I go, look, man, I got as far as I can go. I don't want to hold on to your book forever. Put it to rest. Go to Venezuela. We'll talk later. And I would talk to But in his book, this guy is brilliant, man. He's been talking like biomechanic, the stick figures.
Yeah.
He had everything dialed in biomechanically on how pitchers need to land on their front foot, where their arms need to be, where their head needs to be, where the release point needs to be, everything in stick figures. And that's literally how you can use the software. When you're breaking it down, you can draw the stick figure of the player and show them biomechanically if their body's off or not.
Okay.
Did you get it published?
No, I didn't get it published, man.
Hey, hold
I
on.
got to get a hold of Marty, though. If Marty's out there, man, we got to hook up. It's been years.
This is a perfect segue. We haven't got a chance. I want to hear you, Paul. I know you were in the chat when I went on earlier. Let's talk some Justin Verlander to the San Francisco Giants. Let's get into
this video too while you're
I'll
talking.
Be right back, okay, guys?
Okay.
All right, cool. So, what do you make of it, man? Do you like it? Don't like it? I don't know, man. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Well, I know for a fact it's not our number one choice. We wanted Burns.
Yeah.
We want some other guys. For whatever reason, we couldn't close the deal. We don't know what's going on. I know
there's talks about opt-outs and all that.
Or we tried to do trades and we wouldn't give up Eldridge. Everybody wants Eldridge and they weren't willing to give up Eldridge. So I'm sure they could have closed some deals if they would have given up Eldridge, right? So we don't really know the politics and the negotiation tactics that's going on.
Right.
We don't know any of that. But we have to just go, if we don't get Verlander, who else are we going to get? Nobody.
Right.
So we have somebody. Now, it's not what we wanted, but it could be what we need. And he could potentially not only help the kids out, but he could, if he has a good experience, potentially recruit other big league names that will help us get another pipeline going in the future.
I see what you're saying. But for 1 year, though? Really? Is that do you see what I'm saying? I mean, do you really get that for just having 1 year with him?
You never know, man. It's baseball. Everybody knows everybody. It's such a networking thing. I'm sure he went there because he has respect for Posey. He obviously played against him in the World Series.
Sure.
So he knows Posey's legit. He knows he's not some chump, right?
Right. And
then he knows for a fact that left side of the diamond is legit.
True.
Okay. And then he also knows Oracle's a great place to pitch. So he's at the end of his career. This might be good. Like, hey, man, if this is the best spot you could land at the very last destination of your career, why not? This is the perfect situation for me. So if he's having a good experience and we're winning ball games and he's calling his boys and telling them how much great of time he's having with the Giants and this and that and how they treat their players, just that alone is what we need. We need something because we don't have winning seasons under our belt.
Right.
If we had 3 or 4 winning seasons under our belt, we would get players all day long, but we don't have that. So we just need any little thing that can get us any kind of leverage to get new players in.
Gotcha. Now, Salsa says, Alex, you can't do that now. You only got 26 million left in the bank if you don't want to go above the CBT. Again, guys, you could go above the CBT.
Deferrals.
You could do a deferral. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you sign them for 30-something million, but the 10 million of it's deferred. That is a good point.
Yep.
And if they're on speaking terms, I don't know. And here's the thing, guys. And I'm not discrediting Justin Verlander whatsoever. But how many of us can sit there? Because I've seen that a lot out there talking about the mentor, and I understand it. To me, it makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. How do we know Justin Verlander is a guy that can mentor? Look, longevity. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm only going by my experience of when I was in the United States Air Force. There was guys that I served under, when I was just freaking barely in. They're in there for 20 years. They weren't no damn mentors. Longevity. I'm sorry. Longevity does not equate the ability to mentor. So I don't know. Is there anything? Is there interviews? Is there whatever that's out there? Anything written that, hey, Justin Verlander took me under his wing and was able to show me the ropes, so to speak. I don't know.
Pull up Justin Verlander on YouTube. Just say Justin Verlander teaching pitching.
Mm-hmm. And see if anything pops up.
See if anything pops up. Yeah, I think something will.
Did I hear mentoring again?
Yeah. Well, here and then to the extent, and that's the thing that we're gonna have to rely on what Dallas said. We don't know that absolutely, but I'm sure Posey knows the guy. That's again.
Posey knows baseball, man. Like he even said we have to bring in the right players for the
yes, he has said that.
And that's the difference between these other GMs or operations guys compared to Posey. Posey's a true baseball guy. He knows.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm not saying Posey's God. I'm just saying at least we're talking about a baseball player that we can relate to. He gets it.
Right.
So now it could be a flop and we're all wrong, but I think if that's all they got, I don't think it's a bad play.
Now here's the thing, and I said this, and Glenn, you're going to love this one. I said this earlier.
Is angry Glenn coming back?
Maybe,
Probably.
possibly. Here's the deal. there's no guarantee, but there's a high possibility. The first half of this season here in 2025.
Oh, you're not going Snell again, are you? Oh,
That's exactly
geez,
what
here
I'm
we go. Angry Glenn's already back.
Right? Ooh, excuse me.
Here
Think about it. Because let's be honest, the first half of 2024, Snell was bad, right? We could say that Snell's bad. The first half of 2025, now barring injury, Verlander's probably not going to be as bad as Snell was in the beginning of 2024.
Maybe the second half when he wears out, he's out of gas.
There you go. And there you go. Then that is a possibility. And I'm going to sit there. I'm going to say that I don't see a 6-man rotation.
All right, so check it out.
No way, right?
What if he burns and we could possibly trade him?
True. You could do that. If he's doing great and the Giants are going nowhere, trade him at the deadline to a contender.
I think you got to hope at that point.
There it is. No, that's hope.
People have been talking all afternoon and this evening and before our show. People have been saying, Paul, that this is such a dynamic signing because he can mentor. I said, why fill a roster spot? I'd rather see somebody go in there, pitch for less dollars, we'll get the same out of them, and sign a better pitching coach.
But we could be running out of players and not running out of options. And right now, it might be panic time.
True. It might be.
That's what we're
afraid of. What would I say? This is what I don't want.
Yeah.
This is what I don't want. We don't need that.
That's me with French flag, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. It's very possible, but Justin Verlander could fulfill those roles. I don't know. I just don't have enough experience of understanding who Verlander is as a person where he could do that. But it does make sense. The guy's a Cy Young Award winner.
He likes to win.
Right?
He likes to win.
He likes to win. He's a winner. I get that. Okay?
Guys that want to win, right?
I get that. I get that. I just worry that why do the Giants have to go to a 42-year-old pitcher?
I just think
that's and it's a 1-year deal. I get it. It's not going to break the bank or nothing.
I think they're running out of options because
I
think they vetted the other pitchers, in my opinion, because I know they're probably working hard.
And I don't think they wanted Flaherty.
They probably
he's asking too much.
He might be asking too much, or they might not even want to come play for the Giants.
Oh, true.
So
I'm surprised
Posey's
I'm surprised Verlander's wife wants to go to San
Francisco. Right. So Posey's probably like, if we don't get him, we might have nobody, and then we're really screwed.
Yeah.
God. And here's the thing. Okay, let me go back to this. There's no way you're not going to sacrifice another roster spot to go to a 6-man rotation, right? That doesn't make sense, right? Do you want to lose a bullpen arm? Because that's what you'll probably do. I don't think you're not going to sacrifice a bench spot.
Well, you're talking about what I asked you before we started in the green room, Eric. You're going to there's going to be one less player or one less bullpen player.
Yeah, correct. And that's a risk, man. I mean, is Verlander that risk? That's what I'm trying to say.
Is he that reward? That's the question.
Yeah.
If you go, and I don't know how the numbers break down, but let's say our 6th guy in the rotation, what's his name? The guy who pooped out halfway through.
Harrison?
No, the other guy.
Birdsong?
Nope, the other guy.
Roop?
Nope.
Hicks.
I've always thought, why don't we just do Hicks and let's say Roop, for example? We make them like a team. You give me 5, you give me 4.
Yeah.
You give me 4, you give me 5.
Yes, I said that to Eric too.
It's just you guys are a team at the end of the rotation, and call it what it is, but we're going with those 2 guys on that game.
I like that.
Did you guys see the MLB tweet and what they expect the rotation to be for the Giants?
That's not it. Whoever.
What is that? Who the hell? Did someone take a drink before they put that tweet out?
That's not
Holy shit. You know what they said? Glenn, you know what they said the starting rotation is going to be?
Lay it on me, Eric.
Logan Webb.
I got my pen. Just a sec. All right. Webb.
Okay. Hey, Greg, what's up? Glenn lives.
Got a little chicken noodle soup. That's all right.
Nice.
So Logan Webb.
Thank you.
Robbie Ray.
I can understand.
Verlander.
Now it's Verlander. Oh, is this going to go south on me?
Guess who's 4? Hicks. And the 5th, Harrison.
I thought Hicks would be if you're going 6, I thought he was your 6.
We're not.
All of a sudden he's our.
I would say Birdsong.
Yeah, Birdsong's nowhere in there.
Yeah, I would say
Logan Webb,
Birdsong would be your
Robbie
fourth.
Ray, Justin Verlander, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison.
I'm smelling
What
a
is
Harrison.
that?
I'm smelling a Harrison trade, Eric.
Harrison could be 5.
That's dumb. How do you not have Birdsong in there? And why do you have Hicks? I don't know what the MLB is doing. I don't understand it. Why they would do that. I mean, maybe they're just not in tune.
They're not quite, Paul. They're not quite as knowledgeable as Giant Sports Talk.
It was stupidity. I couldn't believe when I was reading it. But look, let's go there. And I know I already know.
Now, I could challenge you guys potentially. If Birdsong figures it out in spring training, he could potentially be your number 2 guy.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
There's always here with the young, with Harris. I've said the last month or two with take Hicks out. Harrison and Birdsong, a lot of reward there. But
yes,
man, if it goes south, it's going to go south. You've got Webb and Ray. Now you got Verlander. But all of a sudden, now I said to Eric, if we weren't going to beef this whole thing up, you were just an injury away from a total tank.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that too. And
young pitching, man, it can be suspect.
Who's the lefty?
Remember,
the lefty in AAA? With Weisenhunt, right?
Weisenhunt, yeah.
I think that guy's a dude. I think he's going to be good. We need to get him up there sometime this year. I think he's going to help us.
Tell me this. Answer me. Here we go. Here we go, man. I'm gonna go down this road, and I know there's already going to be people out there saying it ain't going to happen. You guys already know where I'm going with this. If the Giants get Roki Sasaki, okay, and there is a chance, Greg is even coming around. Greg, you're coming around. I know you are.
Whether he wants to admit it or not.
Well, because of the Padres stuff, he's you know what he said on the show? If the Giants get Roki Sasaki, it is going to be because of the Giants getting Justin Verlander.
See, I don't see that. I don't see Sasaki's over in Japan going, I told you, on the trampoline going, yay! Oh, I'm going to sign there because they got Verlander.
Again, maybe it's the show. Hey, we want to get, someone, whatever.
Okay, I think we land him, maybe, but potentially only because, and this could be the thing we're not thinking about. What if he's a huge Buster Posey fan? And what if he understands Posey knows baseball and that's the guy who's going to take care of my career?
Correct. Maybe.
Okay.
There you go.
Just saying that could be something where like, holy crap, thank God we hired Posey. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Paul, Eric, the one thing that's kind of the ace in the hole right now, and it has been, look at the whole Burns thing. When Arizona kind of, I wouldn't say they, for lack of a better word, they swooped in.
They didn't swoop in. You know what?
Even though he went to them.
Crazy.
They swoop in and then he's gone, right? And now I'm hearing that maybe they weren't even that interested, which I thought there was going to be a mystery team anyway, right, Eric?
Right.
Yeah.
I was one of the only guys here on this show. I said, watch out for the mystery team on Burns. And sure enough, nobody saw that coming. And some of the other signings, the whole Adames thing. So that maybe our ace in the hole right now as a fandom is the fact we ain't hearing nothing, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been mum's the word on everything that's going on this offseason.
So here we go. Let me go back to the split.
Let me piggyback to you. When Adames signed, they said, why did you sign with the Giants? And immediately he said, Buster Posey. Yeah. And you know why? He was a huge fan of Buster Posey because he watched him win those World Series. He said they looked like they were having a good time when they were playing.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, sometimes the ball players, they gravitate to that. And that's something that these other teams can't offer.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Again, let's go back to Sasaki. There's no way you have a 6-man. Again, you're trading somebody. And I think that guy that's going to be traded, I'm telling you, freaking Kyle Harrison is, according to, again, the baseball trade values, I know it's just an estimation, but he is by far and away, if you got a surplus arm that you have to trade, he's the one that's going to bring back the biggest thing, or the biggest player, I should say.
Yeah, I would trade him only because, in my opinion, his velo's down a little bit.
Yeah. And again, you talked about his delivery.
His delivery's off, and I don't know if player development can fix that delivery, and I don't know how hard he's willing to work to fix it. I don't even know if he thinks he has a problem with his delivery. And that could take 4 to 5 years to change some of those tweaks in his delivery, or he might never do it. Like you said, Glenn, some guys just don't listen. They'll act like they're listening, but they're really not listening to you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
Well,
in
nobody
my
listens to
opinion,
me on this channel, so I know what it's all about.
I
I've been the guy. See, I didn't want Verlander.
didn't want Verlander. I didn't want Verlander.
I don't think anyone did.
I led the charge. I wanted them to sign, and they said, "Oh, nobody's going to sign this guy." I wanted them to sign Sagano, the 35-year-old pitcher out of Japan, who, lo and behold, goes to the freaking Baltimore, or at least he's not in the National League, Eric. He's with the Baltimore Orioles.
True.
Somebody is taking a flyer on him. I'm like, the guy was like 16-3 last year. Well, every time I tell it, it gets a little better. Maybe he was like 16-6, and then it was 16-5. But anyway, he had a great career over there. He's 35, and they're like, nobody wants a 35-year-old pitcher. And then he ends up where? Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is not slim pickings. They're legit right now.
Right.
They were willing to take.
But why are they legit? They have the exact formula as Tampa Bay Rays.
They got the same formula as Tampa Bay Rays.
Good draft.
Yes.
Good draft. 10 years of good drafting, player development, and they finally got a product.
Okay. Real quick. I got to ask this question. We can come back to the Verlander thing if you want. What do you make? What do you make of the lottery system where you can no longer tank to get that first pick anymore? And now it's to the lottery on who gets that first pick.
It's actually good, but we get screwed every year, but it's good.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you just can't tank because that's at, Houston, Baltimore. Yep. They were able to take it. Now, Tampa Bay, I will say, are different because they were always finished. They didn't always have to get the first pick, but they knew how to draft.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take you to tank to get the first pick. You got to have some talent out there evaluating these players to understand, hey, you got to hit not just on the first, but the second and the third and the fourth.
Right. I agree with you. And there's a lot of first round busts. I mean, we should do some data on how many people actually make it to the big leagues coming out of the first round.
Yep. I think Hum Baby, he did a documentary.
Job.
Yeah, he does an excellent. He did on all the first picks of the
I'll
first
have to
round.
check that out. I know in hockey, if you do it in hockey, they did one recently for like the last 6 years. It was like 5% of the top 30 picks. The first round
not much.
Were like a success. There was one year, there was one player in the top 21 that made a name for himself. So now with Eric sneaking away, let me piggyback off something. You were talking about Baltimore. You think, hey, they're doing it the right way. What do you think about teams? And I sense the Giants are sort of doing it now with Verlander, obviously. I've always said, you look back I remember going over to watch a game in Oakland around 2012. And it was an afternoon game. God, there were no more than like 3,000 there. I had bleacher seats. I sat right behind the dugout, man. It was beautiful. Slipped the guy $2. The usher, right down here, sir. I got to know everybody by now. My charisma too. I'm like, hey, Bob. He knows me, but his name tag says Robert. So I went to see them play the Houston Astros. Man, they were the crapper. They were terrible. What did they do? They rebuilt over time, and they didn't just go out and hey, we need to get a Verlander. We need to get this guy. No desperation. It took time, and I'm all about developing. And I mean, it goes to what you did for a living, but build a team the right way and not just keep scrambling and trying to fill spots with aged veterans. I've seen in other sports, it doesn't work.
So let me piggyback to what you're saying too. So in theory, it makes sense, right? However, if you have bad scouts in the organization, everything doesn't work.
Yeah.
Your sustainable success starts with your scouting department.
So you're telling me that Tampa Bay Tampa Bay had the best scouts.
Yeah, they've had the #1 farm system for years.
Like guys like you.
No, I mean, not just because of me. No. I mean, I walked into it going, why are we in last place every year? We suck. But then as I got into it, I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize we were the #1 farm system year after year after year. And then eventually in 2008, those kids were growing up and we went to the World Series.
Exactly.
And I'm like, holy shit, I was a part of that. That was pretty cool. But no, it wasn't because of me. But I think I don't want to throw any flame on the Giants because I live here and people will find out where I live if I do. And I do have some friends that are still scouting in the game. But the Giants in our area were good, but we would watch their drafts and me and my guy would question them some years. We're like, what the hell were they thinking? Now, obviously things change every year. And I'm sure, the guy out of here got Logan Webb, and that was a hell of a pick. So you're not always going to be right. And, but you have to be more right than you are wrong.
Right.
You have to be. And if you're not, you are screwed. It doesn't matter if you're in last place every year. If you're going after the wrong players, you're never going to get the right talent to go to the big leagues and win.
Yeah, but it's a lot of like a lot of things in life. I always use the term on this show, the blind squirrel. He'll find the nut once in a while. But when you are a team like Tampa, the Dodgers for a long time, they had a great farm system. And why are they often able, these teams that compete at a high level? They have the farm system. They're able to trade the chips in the farm system. Yeah. And teams that it's not luck, man. You look at them this decade and the next decade and the next decade. It's because of the scouting.
Dodgers,
we go back to Baltimore. I think that's the right way to do it. You build it. You build it when you almost got to bottom out. That's how I feel. You got to hit bottom and build fresh
and build the right kids, right?
I don't like throwing in just misfits here, trying to fit. Yeah. That's why I don't like the Verlander. I'm like, this just reeked of desperation to me. We gotta get somebody.
You need to get not only the right kids, but you got to get the right athletic kids. Even guys that are like not even baseball savvy. Sometimes you can get a player that's a hell of an athlete playing basketball, and they just got into baseball later on. They got bat speed, they got all these tools, and they're trainable and this and that. And you're like, holy crap. If this kid listens to player development, he's a 5-tool player in the big leagues. He's a potential Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. Now player development's going to be excited because they have a lot to work with. They're not working with 1 tool out of 5. They're working with 5 tools, and they're excited because they see all this potential in this kid. Mm-hmm. So you got to get a lot of moving parts to get the whole team competitive. I want to find the next Ricky Henderson. I want to find the next Willie Mays. I want to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where are they? Where's Vlad? I need them on my team.
Well, Eric and I would make great scouts because I believe, and only from dealing with the show here, Eric, you and I actually said the next big move would be a trade.
I thought it was going to be a trade.
I didn't see this.
Didn't see the Verlander coming.
I didn't see Verlander coming here. I kind of didn't see it because I kind of didn't want it.
The problem we're having is nobody wants our players, unfortunately. That's the problem we're having.
Oh, Eric, that's something I harp on to the people in the chat and Eric a lot on this show. I said, we cannot as a fan base continue to say, we'll trade these 4 players for this great player, thinking, everybody wants our hash down here,
right?
Or a great player. You kind of overvalue them as a fan base.
Yeah, or maybe the Giants just ain't willing to move up certain players.
Or you could trade your players that you want, but say, listen, we'll give you 2 years of first-round picks, and we'll throw in $1 million of cash. Like, you have to sweeten the deal.
Yes,
so they're like, holy crap, we have to do this.
Yes,
that'd be nice if you could. Can you trade draft picks? No, you can't in baseball, right? No. Not in baseball.
I believe you could. I know they could in.
I thought you couldn't do that, and you couldn't trade. Did you ever get the bottom of that about the international money, Eric? You can't deal with international.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, they said you don't want to deal within your own division. That's I mean, that doesn't mean it can't happen, but no, that money is definitely in it.
Yeah, give them money. Say, hey, man, we'll take some load off your payroll. Whatever it is. But the other issue is like, do you want to get a guy for 1 year and then hope and pray he re-signs with you?
Eric, this really comes back and it kind of spits in your face, Eric. How many times in the last
compensation picks,
45 days or so, Eric?
Thank you.
Eric comes on this show, and I'm not poo-pooing on this, Eric, but you've come on this show. And what was your biggest? I don't know if it was the age as much. You didn't want Sagano. No way, no how. Why? Why would you sign him? An old pitcher to a 1-year deal. And what
exactly?
Verlander.
I know. I don't freaking get. And
because we're desperate.
Bigger than that, you signed Sagano to a 1-year deal who's never had experience in MLB whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing when you're a young kid and you could learn it, but as a 35-year-old for 1 year, you're putting a lot of honestly, you're putting a lot more pressure on Sagano than you are on someone like Roki Sasaki, to be honest with you.
Well, Paul, here's a question for you. And again, I'm asking a lot of questions tonight, but I'm just fascinated with the whole conversation, if you will. First time meeting you tonight. I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too.
But you get a guy like Verlander, all right, and take you just maybe as a guy who's been in the game but now as a fan. When you look at signing a guy who's 42 years old, at what point do you go, I'm not willing to sign a player at blank age?
Here's what I do. You ready? I fly to his house. Where's the nearest workout facility we can work you out at? I get my radar gun out. I want to make sure his velos are where I want them. If they're where I want them, 95 and up, and I see all his stuff is tight, he's locating all his pitches, his body's in good shape, he's ready to go. I have a nice talk with him. I take him out to dinner. I make sure his head's right. Then I go, okay, this makes sense. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they've done their homework. I don't think they just signed the guy on a whim and said, let's go.
I would hope so.
We just can't figure it. I mean, we're not – Eric and I are pros, but I just don't figure it out.
And again, this is another signing from Buster Posey that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. All of them have, really.
But they're not – see, Posey doesn't say anything until it's done, right? So when it's quiet, like you said, that's when something's going on.
Oh, geez, Eric has fired up the sub. We've heard nothing but pings for the last month, right, Eric? And Eric always says silence is golden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the A's, unfortunately, have done more production in the last couple of weeks than us.
See who they signed today, Eric?
Or was they extended Rooker.
The A's are good. The A's are actually a good club.
Spending money.
Yeah.
They're spending money.
You guys need to come out to SAC every once in a while. We'll go to a game.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm only 40 minutes away from freaking
my buddy's a retired warden. He says he's got season tickets. He's got the little suites over there. So.
Oh, let's go, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Oh, God. Our last winner won tickets to go to a game with there. Rob C will be wanting to trade him in. Can I go to Sacramento instead, Eric?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's going to be hot in the summertime, though. I'm not going to lie.
It's going to be hot.
Right.
Yeah. So
the 7 o'clock games will be okay, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
These day games. I said that, and I kind of offended senior softball games. I said, and he's like, oh, it's not that bad. A 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock game on a Saturday afternoon must be hot there, man.
Hot, bro.
Those will be tough. Those will be tough.
We should get a dome in Sacramento. I'm not going to lie. We should be like the Diamondbacks, that kind of stadium.
Well, it wouldn't cost much. The stadium only seats, 14,000. It'd be a tiny little lid on it, right?
Right.
What a tiny little.
Oh, you know what, Eric? We got to have how many times are we booked him ahead? When's Paul coming back? Because I'm going to have all kinds of. I want to know.
I know, man.
What Paul's thoughts were on. You got a great minor league organization, but they're playing in that cavernous dome that doesn't even have a lid on that anymore. And what a screwed up freaking organization, Paul.
All I know is they're going to hate it there. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Sacramento, it will sell out. There's money out here. There's fans out here. We've been waiting for years. They will come out and support them.
Well, in that hot weather, in a little matchbox of 14,000 seats, what do you think the numbers? If you're a guy like Rooker now who's coming off a career year, are you looking at this year going, geez, you're 40 over there?
Right.
Do you literally think athletics in the media guide, you're going to carry over? There are going to be records set.
There's going to be records. It's going to be literally, it's a Cracker Jack box.
You know why I was thinking that? Do you remember, was it, it might have been 2 seasons ago, correct me, 2 years ago. Do you remember the series in Mexico when the Padres played the Giants?
Yep.
The scores were like 18-6.
Fly was a home run.
17-12. The third inning, they were on like the fifth. Each team had gone through. There were 10 pitchers come and gone. And I was thinking of that today, thinking, Jesus, you could have games over there that are just – and what is it, 10 runs? Is it you're down 10 or you score 10? You can bring in like players to
position player.
My God, there's going to be guys coming out of the peanut vendors going to come in.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
But like you said, they're going to pad their stats and they'll probably make more money.
Now, look, Sacramento, the dimensions aren't like – it's not a Cracker Jack box by any stretch of the imagination. The dimensions are They're good. They're
They're
decent.
good, but the
Now-
ball's flying.
Hitter friendly though.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you, the ball's gonna fly, and especially when that Delta breeze to right field, dude. I'm telling you, the balls are gonna
We
fly.
get to see that. Eric's been pumping up that little. Wait till we see Soto shuffle over there.
So,
Are they
when
playing
it
in
was-
Oakland or in Oakland?
They're gonna play in
Sacramento?
Oakland. They're gonna play in Sac. Yes, they are.
That'll be wild, won't it?
Matter of fact, I think it's one of the first series. They're coming to freaking Oakland.
Well, it won't be too hot, but it'll still be. I think those big bats are just gonna. It's the big bats. You get a guy Soto walks in there, he's just gonna salivate.
Judge.
Yeah,
You know Judge in there?
salivate when they go.
Dude.
Oh, geez, I should have signed here for 5 years.
Right.
Well, it's 75 a year.
Yeah, I think like last year I was at a River Cats game and it was probably, I don't know, 105, 106. And I want to say maybe 1,500 fans showed up. So I think the numbers, the only thing I think they will support is it is a big league roster. But even then, it's still a little sketchy because I think once it starts getting over 100, I don't know if people want to go watch a game.
That's true.
Yeah, it makes it tough.
And the only reason I talk about the big numbers is because when we put a push, we really wanted to, and I mean it was a long shot at best, but we wanted to see the Soto's shuffle at Oracle.
That would have been so beautiful, man. God.
And Eric played the video, and I think it's gone, or we could just revive it for one night.
Gone.
If you saw the bombs that he hit at Oracle,
Yeah,
I know. If he can hit the ball like that in a non-hitter friendly ball, what's he going to do over in Sacramento?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be big numbers
Big
for A's
numbers.
play half a season there.
Yeah, I would not want to pitch there for sure.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, see, I think
They're a
it'll be
good team.
worse than Colorado.
Yeah. But you know what's funny about the A's? They are a gritty, tough team. They need to play 162 like that. They poop out after like 110. But if they can play 162, that's a hell of a squad because they've always been gritty. They always can hit.
Yeah, we do a lot of games over there, as many as I could be in the last year, taking the train over the BART. And most people crap, and you probably do too. I'm a lone wolf when it comes to this. I loved watching a game in that ballpark.
So did I.
I loved it. They said it's
I
the
love
worst
the drums.
park in the league, and I'm like,
The drums.
The guys
I
in the outfield,
love-
the drums, banging on the drums.
I thought it had. If you got 12,000 in there, there was more
Yeah.
atmosphere some nights than Oracle Park.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Glenn, you missed the heyday when that center field was open.
Oh,
I've only
yeah.
seen the pictures, right? You could see the old skyline and the highway. You'd see the highway. It was like watching a game over in like Kansas City or something. That
See the
track-
Berkeley Hills. You had the Ivy out there. You had the Berkeley Hills. It was just beautiful.
I saw the Bash brothers play there. Ricky
Same
played
here.
there.
Same
I
here,
actually
man.
met Ricky in person.
Did you?
Yeah, I met him at his house. One of my trainers at the time for RBI was like, "Yeah, I'm cousins with Ricky Henderson." I'm like, "Shut up! No, you're not." So he took me to his house one day, and I met him. I rest in peace, Ricky. But yeah, nice guy. And when I met him, I was like, "Dang, he's my size. He's a small guy, but his legs are huge, right?"
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, the
That's
kid-
awesome,
he
man.
was a ball
Did you ever
player.
cross paths with a friend of our show, Matt Stairs, who was a longtime Oakland A? Did you ever cross paths with?
I never did.
He was a home
Never
run
did.
hitter.
He was a
He's
hell
been
of
on
a
our
player.
We're getting
Hell
him
of a
back on
player.
real soon.
No, that guy could hit. He can hit.
We used to call him over in Fredericton. Well, I was in Fredericton, so I played 1 year, and it was before he got scouted out of Fredericton. And I have, guess how many home runs I have? I won't even
One.
let you guess. I have one. And this guy could hit it like if you had put two outfields back to back, we just called him all right, Mr. Grip It and Rip It. He just got no, I don't think you could scout this guy. He just got up there and was just boom, gone. Like
Yeah.
dominance.
Hey guys, I got to touch on this real quick because this is getting pretty damn insane. Again, has nothing to do with baseball. Follow this guy. This guy's a independent reporter down in LA. It appears an exploding power transmitter is the reason there is now a rapidly growing third fire in LA County. It has doubled in size in just minutes per reports. So we got crazy stuff going on down in Southern California. You got
seen the video,
power
Paul?
transmitters. popping, which in turn is creating sparks and flames, which creates more fires.
That sucks, man.
So, dude, it's
We were
getting,
watching the video.
again,
I got a lot of family out there too.
for those who are residing in Southern California, man, I don't even know what to say. You can't really shelter in place.
Go out.
Absolutely, man.
And it's awful
this is
windy.
pretty
I said to
crazy.
Eric, I was watching the video of it before the show, and they were showing in time. They'd speed it up. So they show it was so windy, so many embers that they would fly 1 mile, and all of a sudden you'd see 8 other fires start. They can't control it. It's wild, man.
No, Roki, no fires in the Bay Area. Oh man, dude, that's
Fires here
wrong.
in Winnipeg. Too much snow.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
That is wrong.
That's wrong. Because there's a lot of innocent people out there that are being caught up in this. It sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Again, it's all because of those winds, man.
Mm.
If it wasn't for those winds, none of this stuff would be happening. Gosh dang, man.
Paul, I've been awfully sick the last probably 8-10 days, man. I wasn't even on the show since before New Year's.
I know, man. I've been asking about you.
I missed your last show.
Yeah.
I had a sinus infection. I ended up in the hospital. I couldn't breathe. They had.
Sorry to
I
hear
should have
that,
said,
bro.
Eric. Ever since I said I had the big tube hooked up. I thought, geez, if I got to carry that tank around everywhere I'm going from now on with the two things up my nostril.
Yeah.
But Eric's like, are you in bed? I'm like, dude, I'm in the hospital. He goes, I guess
Yeah.
you won't be on the show tonight. I said, no.
We should
So
do
I
the
missed your
from the
last show,
hospital.
but I've learned a lot about you, and I could do this all night. We want to do an all-nighter, Eric? Late night
No.
till 6 a.m.
Oh my
Oh, I
god.
appreciate you guys. You guys have been awesome, and
Thanks.
Oh, I
thank
love
you,
this,
Eric, for having
man.
me on.
You're
like
great.
I said,
You're well versed. You're great on the air. Like, man, this is great. You have a background. I
my
can do this all night.
thank you.
It's a good thing I
Absolutely.
taped the first 3 hours. I do midnight till 6 on radio.
Wow.
So barring, I said, this is going to go off the rails. I better tape the first 3 hours. So guys, you know where to find me after the show. I'll be over on oldies96.com playing those.
Oh, nice.
Playing those.
Wow.
50s.
Check you
guys.
out.
What do you
Hey,
got,
would you-
Eric? Got some video? Got some video for us?
This is tough, man.
Oh,
Footage showing the
shit.
moment earlier that a pair were forced to flee their home in the rustic canyon to the northwest of Los Angeles as flames from the Palisades fire entered the backyard of the home. Look at this.
Oh,
No.
gone.
All right, dude.
Oh,
Get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry.
Looks like Armageddon.
Tried our best. Yeah, and when this tree falls, too.
Oh my God.
see, look at the embers, man. They're blowing everywhere.
Sorry, bro. We gotta get out of here.
Look at that tree.
Oh,
You know how hard it is to breathe?
holy shit.
Dude, I can't believe they stayed in the house that long, Eric.
That is scary, man.
That
Holy
is
crap.
absolutely nuts, dude.
Prayers go out to everyone, man. Whew.
I know, man. Gosh dang, dude.
Well, I know what I'll be watching after the show for a little bit, man. Getting up.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
I'm running low on gas anyway, Eric. It's
Yeah, let's get out of here. Again,
back.
Paul, hey, thanks for hanging out, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. We'll be doing this. Hold on real quick. I guess there's.
and maybe Paul, Eric will hook me up with your email or your text.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
follow, more closely.
I'll
talk
create
and-
I'll create a group for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. And then we'll definitely do some games this year for the Giants. And
How'd you find the show, by the way? How'd you become a friend of the show?
I'm trying to surf around for Giants talk, and you guys sparked my attention because I liked your vibe and just keeping it open forum. Everybody wants to come in and talk Giants baseball, and
Right on.
Uh,
Well, I try to
dude.
I
set
love
him
the
straight
vibe.
once in a while. Trying to
You
set him
do.
straight.
Hey, now.
Trying to teach the kid a few things, but he never listens
Get
to me.
outta
He's
here,
one of those guys
man.
who's trying to scout, man. He never
Come
listens to me.
on, man.
And he gets me all upset.
Come on, man.
you guys are a good combo.
People thought I liked the shtick with Glenn. I'm like, geez, I'm on heart pills now because of this guy.
the heart
Jeez.
pills.
Gotta
No,
take
it's a
my
good
pills.
show. It's a really good show. And then
I appreciate that, Paul. We
guys
love
bringing
having
me
you on again.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
First time with me, but I can't. I'll be anxious to do this again, man. This is great.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, here we'll just do one more, man. Seriously, this looks like it. Literally looks like Armageddon.
Damn.
Look at that.
Very reminiscent of those Hawaiian fires, Eric. Look at it.
Yeah.
Going the whole strip there. It's gone.
Even like
Look at the
Butte.
wires. Look at the power line.
Yep. Power line's on fire. Yep. That's
How
just
scary,
nuts, dude.
man.
Jesus, breaking news from Southern California.
Seriously,
Not
it's
good.
just.
Look at the skies.
Oh man, dude.
And how do you battle?
You can't do that.
It's a lost cause, man.
You can't fight that, man. You just have to escape.
Hiroku, you can knock me out, but I come back for more, buddy. I'm back in the third
That is
period
bad,
with pitches.
man.
I'm back.
Yeah, hopefully
All right,
you're
man.
pretty safe.
All right, let's get out of here. Hey, again, Paul, keep
Thanks,
in touch, and we'll do this again
Thank
here
you,
soon,
guys.
man.
That's great.
Go Giants. Let's do it.
Woo!
Yeah, baby.
All
But
right.
we can do without regardless of what Paul, I see him down there. Regardless of what Paul says, we don't need Verlander, Eric.
No.
I didn't want to shit on our
Whatever.
guest the first time at meeting him, but come on, man, Verlander, and you were. Well, here I go,
Whatever,
Eric. You were all over me about signing Sagano, dude.
Hey, man.
1 year. We don't need an old guy, but now 35. 35 is the new 22. Come on.
Did I sign freaking Verlander? No, I didn't sign the damn guy.
I just won't get it.
Come
And then
on.
on the other chats I was watching, they're like, he's going to mentor these young guys like Birdsong. I'm like, well, then hire the best freaking pitching coach the money can buy and don't use up a spot on our roster.
Look, I understand the mentor.
Well,
there is something to it because, again, think about it. He's done it before. He has the experience, and I understand it. The only thing that I question is he a guy? Oh, if they sign Flaherty no more. Is he the guy that can actually mentor? We don't know. I've said this. Not everybody can be a mentor. Sure, the guy could go out there. He's a fantastic pitcher, right? Multiple Cy Young Award winner. I get it. I understand it. The guy is good, but can he pass that on to others? That's what I'm trying to say. We don't know that. We just don't. What I want, first and foremost, hold on.
You were
Stop.
against
Let
35.
me go.
What age is
Let me
Cuomo?
go. No, let me go. Here's
Come
the deal.
on, man.
When you hire a pitcher, the first priority, if you go sign a pitcher, is he going to take the ball every fifth day and give you the best chance for the team to win? That is first and foremost the priority. The other stuff, the secondary stuff, is the mentorship. I'm not signing a 42-year-old just to mentor. If that's the priority,
There you go.
That's where I
where is
draw the
it?
line.
Got to bring it back in the new year.
Hold on. Draw the line. That should not be the priority. The priority is the guy's going to go out there and pitch you some good games. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, God, I put the bell away quick then. He
Maybe-
may, but I don't
We
think
don't
this was.
know.
I just don't think. I
No.
got to agree with Paul. I don't think it was. I think it maybe. I never thought this early in, and we're saying desperation move, Eric.
I don't know. I'm not going to go that far yet. I'm
Well,
not going to
Paul,
go.
hey,
I'm not
from
going to go
now
that far
on,
yet.
Paul's the man. I'm a great. Whatever Paul says, I'm just most of it I'll agree with.
All right.
Give him-
Hey, let's
I'm
get
going
the
to
heck out
take
of
credit
here.
and say he said it. How about that?
All right. Hey, guys, we'll be back here tomorrow.
Can't wait. The juices are flowing, Eric. I'm feeling a little bit better, and I'm raring to go. Can we do another show tomorrow?
Yeah, well, come on. We're going to be here at either 8:30 sometime tomorrow. But catch us, guys. It's fun. Appreciate Paul coming out.
Breaking
talking
news?
Baseball.
Breaking
Maybe
news.
there's
We're
some
always
breaking
here.
news. Maybe there's some more breaking news. Maybe. Guys,
Yep.
appreciate you. Thank you guys for the support.
Eric's
It was
signing
fun.
Flaherty. Eric's Flaherty's coming.
Again, this was fun, and we'll do it all over again tomorrow. Again, guys, thanks for the
Thanks,
support.
DJ.
And let's not forget those poor people down in Southern California. Make sure you're saying some thoughts and prayers
Good
to them.
Lord. Be thankful
Crazy.
for what you got any given day.
I know. All right, let's get out of here, Glenn.
All right. Thanks again to Paul. Thanks to the guys in the chat for welcoming me back. I'm still alive. You got to put up with me in 2025.
Let's get out of here. Woo!
Woo!
You've
been watching Giant Sports Talk Live with Eric and Glenn, a Northern Lights Entertainment Broadcasting production.